back to Punch Drunk Nerd, the podcast where three friends are finally coming together to talk about some nerd shit. All right, my name is Luis Gonzalez, and with me is...
Miguel Sanchez.
And Ed Bull.
And together, we unite and tell you the nerd shit. For example, today we are going to talk about some nerd news. And then for our featured discussion, we're going to talk about, hey, House of the Dragon, how is the season so far? We're going to talk about a whole slew of House of Dragon stuff. And then we're going to wrap it up with what we're into, okay? Meeny, miny, mo. But first, we're going to start with Mini. And I'm not going to be the one giving the mini news. It's going to be...
Miguel.
That's right.
It's
Miguel.
me.
Kickstart us off on the news, please.
You guys, it's baby's first news. Okay, so give me a second. You guys, this is a little bit. I'm going to start this week with a little bit of old news. Okay, so most of you guys have probably already heard this, but we are talking about it today. Okay, you guys all know D23 happened. I can't believe we didn't talk about this last week with D23 and everything. I guess the news came out a little bit afterwards.
This came out after, yeah.
Yeah. But apparently, Patty Jenkins, okay, who directed what? You guys know?
Wonder Woman
1 and 2.
Yeah.
The world was her oyster. You know what I mean? And then Wonder Woman 2 happened. And now Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron, the Star Wars movie, has been removed from Disney's release schedule. It is no longer happening. No movies were announced at D23. And this one was slated for theaters. The movie was delayed last November due to scheduling issues. But now it has been completely removed. What do you guys think about this?
I think it's crazy that there are no movies slated for, the Star Wars. Everything's just like television. I didn't realize that until this news broke out. I'm like, oh shit, you're right. There weren't any movies for Star Wars. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, this seemed like a promising project. But yeah, I guess they are biding their time to, I guess, get it right, because I think they're very much aware of how much they fucked up the sequel trilogy and the subsequent spin-offs. So their shows have been working for them. It stands to reason that they would be focusing on those for now. But all that to say, I mean, this was one of the movies that I was kind of excited for of all the upcoming movie projects.
Why?
Yeah, because it felt like it was in the same vein as Rogue One. I liked the idea of there being a Star Wars that would focus on the dogfights in the Star Wars, as it were.
Oh man, with Top Gun dominating.
I know. What do you think? Do you think they pulled it because of the Top Gun fear? They're like, shit, that was really good.
I mean, should we
rework it?
Create a real X-wing and fly it? No. And they can achieve that with, the practical effects. Like, I thought the Rogue One dogfights were incredible. Yeah. And we got a little bit of a dogfight in The Last Jedi, too. So it's doable. I think Patty Jenkins is probably just tied up with Wonder Woman 3. And again, with the stance that Disney's taking towards both its movies and specifically its Star Wars movies, it might just be put on the back burner for now. I don't know.
They're letting it cook a little bit longer.
Is Wonder Woman 3 happening?
Apparently they just want to make TV fucking content, so whatever. I'm not bitter about that at all.
I have to double check. I haven't heard anything. I guess Wonder Woman 3 is announced, but
I thought it was a go.
I don't think it's like a go. I think it was just announced.
Just
on IMDb, Star Wars Rogue Squadron is still announced under her filmography, but hasn't been taken down on IMDb.
Well, maybe they're just tweaking it. I guess maybe just making it clear it's not coming out next year for everyone. Maybe.
Right.
I mean, who knows? It might pop up at a later date, because it seemed to be like a big passion project for her. They did that huge announcement video with her dressed up in a rebel pilot outfit.
Oh, yeah.
So, who knows?
Has Patty Jenkins, besides Wonder Woman, has she directed something else that was pretty big?
She did Game of Thrones. She
directed
She was
Monster.
originally set to direct Thor: The Dark World.
And then that was one of the big issues with Natalie Portman. I remember this now. It's all coming back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, I want, Patty Jenkins, obviously Wonder Woman was such a big success, the first one. and would love to see another really good movie from her. Not necessarily a Wonder Woman sequel. So moving on. That's it. You guys, unless you have anything else you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, Warner Brothers did such a good job. Wonder Woman 1. They did Wonder Woman 2. We're hoping for a better Wonder Woman 3. But Warner Brothers, they're trying to do better with their sequels. Maybe they're going to do better with the Constantine sequel. Because guess what? Boys and girls, strap in. There's going to be another one. There's going to be another Constantine sequel with Keanu Reeves. And Francis Lawrence will also return to direct the sequel. People might be wondering, who's Francis Lawrence? What did this guy do? Miguel, he directed I Am Legend, Hunger Games 2 through 4. And he's set to do the movie BioShock and the Hunger Games prequel. So the man's done some movies. Okay, so he's coming back to Constantine.
That BioShock one a lot, right? Is that?
I think so. Yeah.
Like officially,
I haven't played the game, so I don't really know. I can't really talk to it.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's like a.
I was just curious. Game. Like I wasn't. I know that's one of those movies that they keep talking about making, but never do because of.
Yes, it's like what Halo kind of went through. Like
it's a tough property, you know what I mean?
Video game movies.
It's very beloved, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's going to be really hard to please all those fans.
But this sequel is coming up, written by Akiva Goldsman. He's a big screenwriter. He did A Beautiful Mind, Cinderella Man. He's doing TV shows Star Trek Picard, Strange New World. He did I Am Legend, Practical Magic, I, Robot, Da Vinci Code. But he's also done some other movies, that may not have hit.
Smith and Russell Crowe.
Yeah, other movies that weren't so Oscar nominating as A Beautiful Man or Cinderella Man. He's also done Batman Forever and Batman and Robin and Dark Tower. So the man has range, but I think it's some good range, and I think he'll do good. Everyone loved Constantine, I think, and so I'm excited for it. It's going to be producing with this man's company, the writer, Weed Road Productions and Bad Robot, which obviously is a J.J. Abrams thing, and a Hannah Minghella production company. I don't know. Have you guys seen Constantine?
Nope.
No, I never saw it because I stay away from devil shit. Okay.
Well, it's a good one. I think if you ever feel like, I need some devil shit to watch, I think Constantine's a fun watch. It's a good one.
They've been talking about wanting a sequel to this movie forever. Like
forever.
People really liked
it's got
this one.
It's got appropriately a cult following for this movie. But it's always to me, it's interesting too what Warner Brothers' next move is, just because they've been shutting so many things down. It's like, okay, you shut things down.
Happen?
What is your move? And I feel like this is a move they're making. They're saying, we're going to put this forward. We're going to put it in theaters. Like, okay, I guess this is one of the horses you're backing up. I'm not against it, but it's just interesting, Warner Brothers is setting the stage up for Constantine, praising the Constantine movie, praising Francis Lawrence, praising Keanu Reeves. Ed, is there anyone else that's praising movies?
Now that you mention it, yes, I do believe some praise went out this week from none other than Hollywood and cinema icon Martin Scorsese. Last week, the movie Pearl hit theaters to great acclaim. I guess this is a prequel to a movie called X. I haven't seen either one of them yet.
I didn't know that. No,
but I've heard, and apparently they secretly filmed the two movies back to back and just released it separately. But anyway, they both opened to great acclaim, and even more so, Martin Scorsese every now and again. Some directors will go out of their way and say, like, oh, yeah, I love that movie, or like, this was my top 10 movies of the year, or whatever. So, coming from Martin Scorsese, high praise indeed, because he rarely comes out of the shadows to talk about other people's films. But, so he sent an open letter to A24 praising this particular movie.
Wow.
And, basically just applauding how disturbing it was.
If you're gonna read it, can you do it in Martin Scorsese's voice?
I was thinking about it, but I was thinking like I'm probably gonna come across as Woody Allen, and I don't want to do that.
No.
Nasally New York voice.
No.
If I had some like,
just try it.
If I had some cocaine,
whoa,
because he talks really fast.
This is a family-friendly podcast, okay?
Is it? Fuck you.
Goddamn right it is.
All right. So yes, he wrote an open letter, and he's done this for a couple of A24 movies, actually. Specifically horror.
He's just
movies.
like, please let me direct an A24
Dang,
movie.
direct
He just
an
keeps saying that.
A24
Yeah.
movie.
I know.
It's like, Jesus, all right. God.
Like, yeah, he always has these like studio issues. Just go to A24, Martin.
Come on,
Marty.
baby.
Come on, Marty. Anyway, okay, so Ty West, I'm quoting, Ty West movies have a kind of energy that is so rare these days, powered by a pure, undiluted love for cinema, Scorsese wrote. Probably didn't need to say that. You feel it in every frame. A prequel to X made in a diametrically opposite cinematic register. Think 50s scope color melodramas. Pearl makes for a wild, mesmerizing, deeply, and I mean deeply disturbing 102 minutes. There you go, Luis. West and his muse and creative partner, Maya Goth, really know how to toy with their audience before they plunge the knife into our chests and start twisting. I was enthralled, then disturbed, then so unsettled that I had trouble getting to sleep, but I could not stop watching.
I like it. I like that it wasn't Scorsese, but it was like you could feel his passion in what you were saying. It. That was good.
Thank you.
That was good.
I love it. It fucked me up. I need to go to therapy. I have traumatic, memories about it, but I'm goddamn it, I want to keep watching it. This is what Scorsese
They
loves.
plunge a knife into our chest and twist.
Yeah, and twisting it.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. I mean, high praise indeed, and instantly made me want to go out and see this movie. I had another friend who was praising it as well. Was
is it out
gearing
in
up to see
theaters?
it is. It came out last week.
God damn. Oh, there are so many movies coming out. I can't keep up. I feel like I'm on a treadmill that's going 80 miles per hour, falling on my face, bleeding.
And that's Luis's take on this movie.
No, it's just hard because I know later we're going to talk about what we're into. I saw what you're already into. And I was
I
like,
got
God,
2 movies in this weekend.
where do you have the time? I love you. And I wish I could swap bodies with you. But it's just like, how am I going to watch these movies in time? I'm going to have to wait till it comes out on VOD or
Ed,
something.
you really should get that AMC, whatever.
At least the Cinemark one. You should
My
get the
Recall
Cinemark.
is working just fine for right now. But
when you have about 14 million Regal points.
Yeah, I got to see the Woman King for free, and then I saw See How They Run.
I didn't think you would see both of them in one weekend, but you did.
It did. Well, the latter struck me as a movie that wasn't going to stick around for long.
Yes.
It did okay at the box office, but it's not going to be around for long. Anyway,
I learned long ago
Tuesday weekend
that Ed will see movies and you cannot keep up. You know what I mean?
I'm trying so hard.
Which you cannot.
I really want to.
Of.
I really want to. I honestly, I have to. I hope no one from work is listening because I want to take off of work and just watch 3 of them back to back. But this is near here or there. Okay,
I've done that.
We'll talk about that when what we're into. I'm just getting hyped. Spoiler alert: we're talking about Woman King and See How They Run. But let's not get too detracted from that. I know. Yep. We're going to talk about what we're into. Obviously, we've talked about things that we're not into. Ed was not into The Bear. I was into The Bear. And I think me and Miguel were into Shameless as well. We're talking about these properties because our boy, our, amigo, our familia, Jeremy Allen White.
Is that what we're calling him?
Yes, he's our brother. Okay.
Dude, he's blowing up.
He's blowing up. Jeremy Allen White's blowing up. From The Bear and Shameless, and he's going to co-star in Sean Durkin's The Iron Claw, another A24 movie. I feel like we've been talking a lot about A24 a lot. I feel like they're almost like Marvel at this point, where they just keep pumping out movies. I almost am losing track of it. You know what I mean? I feel like A24 used to come out with like a handful of movies a year, and now it's like you're getting punched with it left, right, combo moves. It's gonna.
I always associate A24 as like the modern day focus features. Do you remember when those movies would come out a lot?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And those would always have like
those are still around.
I know. But I just mean like I felt like focus features used to have like the handle on that type of genre.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Not that you could say A24 is one
used to be
specific genre, but
it used to be a lot of people. I remember Sony Pictures Classics used to be another one of those focus features. Like
what was that other one? Fox Searchlight, right?
Yeah,
Searchlight. Yep.
Yeah.
The like indie version of 20th Century.
And you knew, like, anytime you saw a movie with either of those studios, any of those studios, that like this is going to be
or Miramax.
Right before all the drama.
Before the shit, yeah.
Yeah.
But
we don't talk about that.
I mean, I could save a word, guys. So you don't need to cancel me.
But yeah, I think A24, the fact that they're not just one genre, you know what I mean? They're not just one type of movie. They come out and you're going to get a quality film. But shout out to Jeremy Allen White because he's blown up because of The Bear currently. You know what I mean? But I mean, Shameless ran for 10 seasons.
Absolutely.
And he was never. You could say Shameless was maybe up or down at any point, but he was never the reason why. You know what I mean? And it's wild that like Shameless ended recently, sometime in the last 5 years. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, ago. Like even sooner. Because I remember watching the season finale, like I'd say a couple years ago. So
I'm just glad because you know what I mean. It's like it's tough to get off of a show like that and then find success. You know what I mean?
It's funny because The Bear is almost it's not like a spiritual sequel to Shameless in the way that his performance is. Where it's like, I can see that lip character living because he kind of embodies some of the same mannerisms and same like attitudes. I think it helped because that obviously William H. Macy was in Shameless, but the girl who played Fiona, she left Shameless.
Emmy Rossum.
And so he kind of had to take over her role as like the lead of the family.
The lead.
While William H. Macy was still like the kooky side comedic character, you know what I mean? And I think, I'm proud of this guy. He's doing more movies. He's going to be with Zac Efron and Harris Dickinson. This movie, The Iron Claws, about the wrestlers, the Von Erich brothers, and their rise and their fall. I really don't know anything about the Von Erichs or this wrestling people, but I'm more interested in how Jeremy Allen's career is hitting, and then how A24 is continuing to, pop up everywhere.
I will clarify. As I didn't like the show overall, I thought he was fine. Like I think he's a good actor.
The Bear?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about.
Did you watch Shameless?
No,
I don't think he did.
I was gonna ask. I couldn't remember.
But no,
I felt like you started Shameless, but never got.
But I thought he was a perfectly fine actor.
Perfectly fine. Come on, let's amp up that.
High praise. Whoa, was that Marty Scorsese over here?
I was left disturbed, and
Ed, you sounded pretty disturbed after that one Bear episode. I can't believe you didn't like it as much as Marty S. here. You know what I mean?
Marty S.
I'm sure he would have loved the Bear.
Nah. Maybe he would. Maybe he would love that show.
We should hit
He
him
didn't
up.
write about it. He
At
didn't write an open
Scorsese.
letter to Hulu
That's
saying,
true.
"Oh yeah, I really love that show."
There it is.
Yes! We got it. That's the end of our episode, folks.
Write that down.
Up.
All right, see you next week, folks.
You know what? It did sound a little bit like Woody Allen. Yeah.
Woody Allen, he's a dodgy character. I wish we were able to talk about somebody who wasn't dodgy.
Yeah.
Anybody?
That could be a setup for anything.
But you know what it is.
Ted Lasso?
Yes! Everybody's good-hearted friend, Ted Lasso, the antithesis to Woody Allen.
Dodgy. Yeah, okay. A fictional character, yes.
Yes.
Who's deliberately just the most wonderful man on the planet. So Ted Lasso, famed Apple TV show starring Jason Sudeikis and other folks, and they incorporating his character and the team from that show into FIFA 23, which I'm a fan of the FIFA games. I haven't played in a long time. Obviously, I don't have a game console, but it was one of my go-to games and one of my favorite pastimes. Also, one of my favorite, stress points, for lack of
FIFA.
Yeah, playing FIFA.
Yeah.
And but anyway, so that was just like a very surprising random bit of news that came up, and they released pictures and like a little promo video of those characters in the game, and it looks daft as hell, but I'm here for it. I thought it looked fun.
I love that phrase. It looks daft as hell. Daft. It looks looks daft as hell.
Yeah.
Punch drunk nerd. Daft as hell.
There it is.
There it is. Pay us money. Yeah, I mean, Miguel, obviously you've played FIFA with me. You've dabbled. Luis, are you familiar? You dabbled?
Yeah, I used to play FIFA back in middle school and a little bit of high school, but I kept getting my ass.
Real quick, what was the last FIFA you played? Each of us go. Pick a year. Pick a year.
16.
16? Wow, that's a lot sooner than me. Mine was probably FIFA 03.
Wow.
Damn.
Dang, dude.
So I'm about to hit my 20-year anniversary.
What? Oh, for graphics? Yeah.
My 20-year anniversary of playing FIFA because I want to play. I want to play as AFC.
We got to do it.
Online.
Follow us on Twitch at Luis.
At Punch Drunk Nerd at Twitch.
And go find me at my Give Me a PlayStation page or whatever.
Patreon at our Patreon.
At a Patreon, yeah. Please buy me a PlayStation.
What about you, Miguel? When was the last time you played FIFA?
FIFA 15.
Okay.
That was the last one I had. And I mean, I played it for a couple of years. And then I remember I stopped because they were like, oh, FIFA 16's not that good. And I was like, well, if it's not good, I'll stick with the classic.
With the classic, good
I mean, they're basically the same. The stats on the teams differ from game to game, obviously. But if anything, you just get to see, the evolution of how grass looks in video games.
So I know Ted Lasso a little bit. I don't really watch the show, but he's not a player. He's like the coach or something.
He's the coach.
Damn, it's kind of a shame because show. I would love. I could watch it. I would love to play as Ted Lasso playing FIFA. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I want to see him kick a goal.
It's funny. I bet if there's a PC version, they could make a mod of it.
Oh.
Speaking of mods, have you seen all those? I know this is not in the news, but I want to talk about it. The Spider-Man mods that they've been doing because Spider-Man is now on PC, and so they've replaced him with like Wilson Fisk, Kermit the Frog. I saw a Venom one, I saw a Wolverine one, but I've just been having a ball watching those mods.
It's wild how quick those things will come out because that thing hit PC and then, on whatever day it was. And then it was like 2 days later, we were getting like all these compilation videos of all these characters. I like the idea of modding the game a little bit and seeing, the characters play as a different character. But all it is a skin, right?
Yes,
it's just Spider-Man, but you're shaped like another character.
Exactly.
I remember playing the original Spider-Man movie game on whatever console I had at the time. I think it was a GameCube. Do you guys ever play that game? The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man?
I don't think I played that
tie-in video game.
No.
It was surprising how not good the game was, but they had like Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst. I'm pretty sure, maybe not Kirsten Dunst, but I'm pretty sure it was Tobey Maguire. Or he came in for the sequel. It doesn't matter. Anyway, you could play that whole game through as the Green Goblin. And then instead of it just being like a skin, you were actually the character Green Goblin. You had the glider. You had like slightly different dialogue. It was a different actor doing the voice. You know what I mean? And I was spoiled early on with that. And now I just see skins and I'm like, it's boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm playing as Wilson Fisk, I want him to sound like Wilson Fisk. You know what I mean?
You got to hire a voice actor.
Have some strong Hulk powers or something. You know what I mean? Whatever he does.
So mod is not an acronym. It's just abbreviation for modification.
I think so.
I think so.
I didn't
Let us know at Punch Drunk Nerd what you think mod sounds like.
I googled it. I was like, what does mod mean? Obviously, in the context, I got it, but I just wanted to clarify. Whatever. Carry on.
Well, listen, people are modding Spider-Man. People are modding. People want to mod Ted Lasso, obviously, into this FIFA game. Another big thing that's being modded is Gran Turismo, the movie. And by modding, I mean we're casting these characters as real actors. Listen, this is being directed by Neil Blomkamp. He directed District 9, Elysium, Chappie, and actually a lot of shorts. It's going to have Orlando Bloom and David Harbour. It's going to be scripted by Jason Hall, who did American Sniper, and Zach Balin, who did King Richard. It's going to be based on a true story. But then I read the premise here. Yeah, I don't know what that means. But that's what I read, and I was kind of taken aback. And then here's a description. The project is described as the ultimate wish fulfillment tale of a teenage Gran Turismo player whose gaming skills won him a series of Nissan competitions to become an actual professor race car driver. That does not sound like a true story to me at all.
Professional race car driver.
A good one.
Professional. What? And so David Harbour is going to play the retired driver who teaches him how to drive.
Oh, bud.
Naturally, yeah.
With Orlando Bloom as the hungry marketing exec.
Oh boy.
So this comes out August 11th, 2023. But yeah, man, it sounds, I don't know.
Awful. When you have to name drop the brand of car, a singular brand of car in a movie about cars.
Well,
yeah. The
we're just gonna
Nissan
drive our
competition.
Nissan over here.
ooh, say
Scorsese again.
Say Nissan again.
That's
He would
like-
never say it
That
like
was a
that.
gremlin. Gran Turismo.
Now you just sound like Clint Eastwood. By the way, when I was Googling photos for this movie, I just kept getting Gran Torino pictures.
He'll
You guys ever
show
see
up
that?
for a
I
Did you ever see
cameo.
that movie?
Yeah, of course.
It's not good.
No.
You remember when he punches the cabinets?
Oh man, that's awful. So bad, so cringe.
And he's still alive making movies. You're
I
like,
know.
dang, I thought that was it when I was watching. I was like, this is it.
Bless him.
He must be taking some kind of medicine to keep him alive.
Neil Blomkamp. Let's talk about that for just
Yeah,
a
let's talk about that for a second.
I stepped on it, dude. I'm sorry, dude. I wanted to talk about it.
No, you're good.
I
Let's talk
wasn't
about
paying
Neil. Let's talk about Neil.
He hasn't made a good movie in a
I'm
while.
gonna set you up for it in a minute, okay?
This is
So obviously we said he directed District 9, Elysium, Chappie. I was pause.
Oh, Miguel's beer is ready. Miguel was under the impression that Neil Blue. I don't know. Did you see Elysium or Chappie or District 9?
no, I haven't. I've only seen District 9, to be honest.
Okay.
I didn't see Elysium.
Elysium and Chappie were not that great, unfortunately. Cool concepts.
Wait.
They were cool conceps, but Miguel, you cannot expect us to stop.
No, dead air for me, please. No, because I know what Ed's going to say, and I just don't want to miss it because I want to have the conversation. Yeah, you didn't like Elysium, you didn't like Chappie, right? Is that what you were saying?
Are you about to tell me they were great movies? And
Fuck no. But I really wanted to like them. You know what I mean? There's he's got a look. You know what I mean? A style to his films, and they're kind of charming in a way because they're like, you know what I mean?
The concept is cool.
Conceptually, you know what I mean? He always has really good ideas, and this is a point I want to bring up. I liked District 9. I think solid movie. District 9 was his best, and
it holds up. It holds up.
And it does. Elysium, I wanted to like a little let down. Chappie, at that point, I was kind of just like, take it or leave it, and it had some qualities that I'm just wasn't my favorite. But conceptually, he's got really good ideas. And do you guys remember before Prometheus, he was going to do those Alien? He was going to do a sequel to Aliens, the second movie
with Sigourney Weaver. Yeah,
Sigourney Weaver coming back. God, who else? Someone else coming back from that movie?
The guy who played Hicks, who I'm blanking on right now. I'll look him up while you keep talking.
The guy from the Terminator movies, right? Wasn't he in the first one?
Yes.
Anyway, and he released some concept art, and it looked really good. And I feel like people were super excited. I mean, Luis, did you know about this?
No, I know he was. I know he was going to direct the Halo movie too.
See, that's the problem. Is I feel like he's always like almost doing something, and then it gets the rug pulled out at the last minute.
Yeah.
But the thing that hurt about the Alien movie so much was because it looked like a passion project. He was excited to bring it back. I'm pretty sure Sigourney Weaver was like on board to do it. You know what I mean? And it was going to be one of those like think about the Halloween movies, the most recent ones, where they kind of like retconned all the shitty ones and said, no, this is where we're picking up, and this is the official timeline, and this is what they were going to do with Alien. But then all of a sudden, Ridley Scott gets word that someone else is making an Alien movie, just like Blade Runner. You know what I mean? Now all of a sudden he's doing the Blade Runner TV series, which I'm like, oh my god, guy, like let it go. Anyway, so I'm going on a tangent, but I was kind of excited for that Alien movie based on the concept, based on what he did with District 9. And it's already such a established property that it's like he's got like a good established ground to like build off of. And I was sad that didn't happen. So I'm kind of excited to see him do another movie, like maybe get some recognition. Maybe it'll be good, Gran Turismo, and he'll be allowed to like make another good movie. You know what I mean?
We can only hope and pray.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Great conversation. You didn't want dead air when I was gone, but as soon as I get back on, let's make sure we.
I really was curious what your plan was when you set that alarm. It's like, are you going to get Kristen to get you that beer? Are you going to run off?
I was going to time it right. I thought I was going to time it right, but she wasn't ready yet, so it's okay. Okay, well, we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Your beer going in the freezer?
No, because it's going in my mouth now.
You know what else is going in your mouth?
What's that?
Not Nyquil Chicken.
Bro, okay. I was feeling
what is
a little
this
under the
Nyquil Chicken? What is that?
Yeah.
I was feeling a little under the weather a couple days ago, so I took a couple of Nyquil, flu and cold medicines, and I was feeling a little bit better. And then the next day, Nyquil was trending #1 on Twitter, and I was like, "Oh God, why is Nyquil trending?" And it said FDA urges Nyquil users, whatever. And I was like, "Oh my God, am I about to die? Like, did I take the wrong medicine? Is it about to be recalled?" And then I read the FDA has issued a warning advising the public not to cook chicken in Nyquil. Apparently, there's this TikTok trend, thank you, Gen Z, where people were cooking whole-ass chicken breasts in Nyquil, in that gross blue Nyquil medicine.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they were eating it or if they were just cooking it. I don't know. I posted a picture in the images folder. Did you guys actually look at that?
I did, yes. It was horrifying.
Horrendous.
As somebody who likes to cook and likes to eat
Oh
food,
my God, that looks terrible.
I weep for humanity. I really do.
They were even saying it doesn't even matter if you don't eat it, just the fumes, like the cooking of it, will change the properties or the chemistry of the medicine. It could potentially like make it, I don't know if they said fatal, but it said like, oh yeah, you'll definitely get sick just for like being in the room.
Wow.
Yeah. And if you think about how much, compared to a dose, which is 10 milliliters for an adult.
Sure. And they're glopping it on there.
Exactly. Like you're pouring that shit like it's olive oil. Yeah, you're going to OD from NyQuil alone, aside from the fumes and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Take away the NyQuil aspect, but in that picture, that chicken doesn't look good. Period.
No, the chicken doesn't look good either.
Take away the blue medicine. It's just this pale white unseasoned chicken. It's only seasoned by NyQuil. I was telling Kristen about this. I was like, this is the Tide Pod generation. The ones that didn't die are coming back with a vengeance. You know what I mean? They're like, no.
What's that in reference to? The Tide Pod?
There was a time.
Tide Pod's Ed.
Yeah.
Well, I know what they are, but
so you would know them as some sort of laundry detergent, as most people would. Yeah. But there was a time, much like this NyQuil Chicken, where there was a trend where kids were eating Tide Pods. You don't remember this?
No.
It was all over the news. You don't remember that? I mean, for like a while, that was like a meme where like kids were eating Tide Pods.
Yeah. They had to make commercials about it, like, this is not food. Please don't eat it, and things like that.
Don't eat it.
And so they grew up, and now they're drinking NyQuil Chicken.
NyQuil Chicken. That's right. I'm telling you, the ones that survived, they're like, ain't nothing gonna hold me back.
But yeah, I mean, we just wanted to hit about NyQuil Chicken real quick. Please don't put NyQuil on your chicken; it will kill you. If you're interested in death, though, there are movies that can satiate your needs. We're rolling into trailers. The Midnight Club is all about death and killing. Mike Flanagan. Everybody knows Mike Flanagan. He did the Haunted. He did the Haunted Hill show on Netflix. Yeah. He also did Dr. Sleep.
Haunting of Hill House.
Exactly. Haunting of Hill House. He did Midnight Mass. He also did The Haunting of Bly Manor. He did all these Netflix shows that are great. I think I really enjoyed them.
The Haunting of Hill House is incredible.
Haunting of Hill House is great. I also really like Midnight Mass too.
No, Midnight Mass was really good.
Yeah. Those two. So Midnight Club. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it kind of feels like it's leaning more to like a kidsy, not a kidsy, like a teenagey vibe.
Like horror,
but I don't know if he's using that on purpose as a tool, like the way it looks and vibe to kind of reel people in like a trap, and then really sucker punch them with his horror mastery. So check it out, Midnight Club. Mike Flanagan, he's coming back. If you loved those horror shows about haunted houses and all those things, he's back, baby. And I don't know how he keeps doing it. He keeps pumping these out. I'm so surprised how often he pops back up with these shows.
And the quality has been pretty consistent. I think
Yeah.
Bly Manor is probably the least favorite on his slate.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, generally speaking, but that doesn't
still,
mean it was bad. It was still a
Do
solid
absolutely.
haunting.
Absolutely.
Solid haunting.
A solid haunting, baby. It's 10 out of 10 haunt. Do you think he's able to churn these out because horror as a genre is like not that good and it's like easy to make?
Because his horror isn't
cheap scares and thrills.
Well, that's the thing is his is not his
You're
isn't really cheap scares. It has to do with like trauma that people go through.
No, I'm just
that's his horror.
Have you watched any of them, Miguel?
No, because I don't like that shit.
Oh, well, see, that's what I mean. I remember watching The Haunting of Hill House that season twice because it's just like family drama that is horror, you know?
Yeah. I remember Ed was a big fan of that one when it came out, and I remember him talking about it a lot. And I think Kristen, actually, my wife, watched it too.
And that's the thing. I don't usually lean into the horror genre a whole lot. Only in recent, I would say like the last 7 years, I've been getting really into horror.
Yeah,
because we've had the likes of that show, A24's horror films. It's just like a unique spin. I guess it's really more just like the mainstream horror that I don't like so much. But yeah, I mean,
well, the mainstream horror is coming back, man.
Hey, did it ever leave? Is my question. Speaking of mainstream horror, the hell has opened up and released the Hellraiser. Fuck that up.
You seem thrilled. You seem thrilled about this, Ed.
I'll say this.
I lost my enthusiasm for the transition that I just gave.
No, it's okay. I've never seen Hellraiser or any of the movies, so I don't really have anything, but
I saw the first one. It was good. It doesn't stand out to me as like one of the great horrors, but they've been talking about like a remake and all of that shit for quite some time. We're getting into Halloween season, I guess. So
yes,
they're dropping all of this shit, and I guess it's one of those movies where I like the concept and the premise of it. You know, it's like the main character is like a real piece of shit, and then they go like a shit too far and get these like demons who like to torture people for a living. And I'm really just like dumbing it down, but
I mean, because
anyway,
I thought Hellraiser was just the dude. I thought it was just the dude, and then I saw the trailer and I was like,
Pinhead.
Pinhead. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, wait, who are these other dudes? Who are these other monsters?
It's like it's a group. Even in the original film, he's just the main one. But yeah,
he's like the captain.
They've all got like different fucked up features.
I'll tell you, this was one of those movies that in the 90s or whatever, you'd be walking through Blockbuster and see that shit.
Yes.
And you would turn the other way.
Yeah.
I would be like, Not only am I not going to ask to watch this because I'm going to get a hard no immediately.
Yeah.
I'm shaking in my boots just looking at this picture. That dude was so scary looking.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why I am kind of interested in seeing this one. You know, Hulu just had Prey come out, and that was like a pretty big hit for them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, if Hulu's got like another hot movie franchise they want to come out and try again, like, all right, let's see what it is. And I thought the trailer was entertaining.
Yeah.
It was solid. I mean, it looks like it's got like a solid budget behind it. Like it didn't look cheap.
Like a healthy revamp, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Could be
for us not knowing anything, you know what I mean? But let us know, Punch Drunk Nerd, if you're Pinhead heads, you know, and you can let us know if you're excited for this thing, because we don't know.
Yeah,
I tell you what, it won't win an Oscar.
You know what will? Probably, maybe. I don't know. Is Decision to Leave, which is the latest movie from Park Chan-Wook, director of Old Boy and The Handmaiden. This one hit Cannes earlier this year to glowing reviews. A lot of people saying this might be like his way into the Oscars. The trailer. I mean, I assume you guys watched it, but I thought it looked solid. Basically follows the investigation into this the wife of a man whose death is under suspicious circumstances, and in the investigation of it all, the main detective, I guess, or one of the detectives, starts, getting too close to her, and it's like kind of like a whodunit, I guess, but more of like, did she do it? Did she not? Kind of thing, and is he just kind of falling under her spell, as it were? Park Chan-Wook is like a really interesting director. He also did that movie Stoker with Nicole Kidman and that one actress who played Alice in Wonderland in the live action films. I'm blanking on her name. But anyway, he's really like visually striking director.
He is. I love all of his composition.
Yeah, and his style of storytelling is always very interesting, and it always goes into unexpected places. So very excited about that, just in general. So hopefully, maybe this will be his year. Coming from recent years where Parasite won Best Picture, Best Director, and all of that. I mean, anything can happen these days. So remains to be seen. I think that movie comes out in November or this October, actually. So
nice. Yeah.
You know what else is coming out in October?
What's that, Ed?
Dahmer, another Netflix film. Show. Was it a show?
It's a show. Yeah.
So Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story.
What a title!
It's all right. Is coming to Netflix, starring you guys' guy. No, Miguel's guy. Miguel's guy. What's his name?
Oh, fuck.
It's Ryan Murphy.
Ryan Murphy.
Ryan Murphy is the creator.
The director, yeah. The actor, Evan Peters.
Don't throw that shit to me again like that, Ed. I was not ready.
Sorry. I thought you would have.
And I know. And I know exactly who you're talking about.
Because so many times,
American Horror Stories.
Yeah, so many times I've referenced him and you've corrected me on his name. I feel
that's my bad. But
anyway, it's got like a stellar cast. Evan Peters, is playing Jeffrey Dahmer. It's also got Niecy Nash, Molly Ringwald, Richard Jenkins, Colin Ford, Sean Brown. And if you hadn't guessed, it's the story of one of the most notorious serial killers in the United States, largely told from the point of view of his victims. So that will be fun. And
it does. Both trailers I watched them because the one you linked was the second one that just came out yesterday or something. They both look really good. You know what I mean?
I guess Ryan. Sorry, Luis. You did mention Ryan Murphy, and he is. He's a showrunner on this.
Yeah. So, you can definitely tell watching it.
And Evan Peters is like a good actor. I mean, he's kind of like
Ryan Murphy loves Evan Peters. He was like in a ton of American Horror Story stuff with him.
Yeah.
So it only makes sense.
And who doesn't like these murder serial killer stories? I mean, so it should be interesting. And the like we said, the trailer looks good. Trailer that may not look so good. I'm waiting to hear Miguel's opinion on this.
We got to talk about this.
My God.
Dead for $1.
I've been thinking about this all day, you guys.
Let us know what's going on with
I
Dead
mentioned
for $1.
this one a couple of weeks back because it premiered at Venice.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Blew my fucking mind when I saw the Venice logo.
And it stars Willem Dafoe and Miguel, your face.
Talk about it.
Willem Dafoe.
Tell the cast first.
Yeah. I'm trying. I'm sorry. Dead for.
It's Willem Dafoe,
Christoph
Waltz, Rachel Bronson.
Is it Brosnan?
Brosnan.
Okay.
Brosnahan.
Hamish Linklater, who was also in Midnight Mass. Benjamin Bratt.
Yes.
Benjamin Bratt. Oh, God.
A little brat. Anyway, so it's a Western. Veteran bounty hunter Max Borland heads deep into the Mexican territory to find and return Rachel Kidd, the wife of a wealthy businessman. There's more to it, but I'm not going to keep reading.
It doesn't matter. It looks awful.
Yeah.
This looks like one of the worst Western movies just a general movie in general. And I can't fathom why not one single member of this cast would sign up for this movie. You know what I mean? Unless it was under the guise of it's going to be the most amazing fucking Western ever and it's going to look amazing and blah, 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 blah. But it's like Christoph Waltz is an Oscar winner. You know what I mean?
2 times.
Willem 2 times back to back. And they were phenomenal looking movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even the movies that he's not won Oscars for, Christoph Waltz is in movies that just look professional. This looks like a movie that, first off, it looks like a student film, not knocking all student films or anything, like, you know what I mean? You got to start somewhere or whatever. But it just looks like a student film. And it also looks like they were trying to film it and then COVID happened or something. And then they had everyone just film on a green screen or something and then just like splice them in to the scene or something. It is one of the lowest quality productions with the highest quality cast. You know what I mean? And it was one of those where they were like Academy Award winner, Academy Award winner, Academy Award winner.
Well, that's
which
why
really are like, we're just selling the movie on this.
Yeah.
But it's like, it hurts almost when you see it. You're like, why are you in this? The only one that actually, now, first off, all of these actors that we've mentioned are great actors. Okay. We know, I've seen them in other things. I know they're good actors. I'm not knocking any one of them. But the only one who really looks like he's kind of selling it is Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
He's got one line at the very end of the trailer where he like holds his hand up and he says, you know, if you put a gun in this hand, it's like the hand of the devil or whatever he says. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, Willem Dafoe is making the most of this. And Christoph Waltz, like, he's a phenomenal actor. Like, I'm sure he's like really putting in his best too, you know? But oh my God, it's just like my jaw dropped when I watched this trailer the other night for the first time. What did you guys think? I'm sorry, I'm talking so much. What did y'all think about this?
No, I mean, when I first watched the trailer, I mean, prior to the trailer, I was excited purely, again, because of the cast. And
Great ensemble.
I do love me a Western. So, yeah, it seemed promising. And especially when you open up in a film festival, you're just like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, when I watched that trailer, I couldn't tell you just like how much my heart sunk. Just the more and more it unraveled, because not only does it just like look cheap, it just bit by bit you felt like you were checking off a list of
oh my God,
Western cliches,
tropes,
you know what I mean?
Tropes.
And so, yeah, I was very, very disappointed. And it's currently sitting at 54% on Rotten Tomatoes.
So much higher.
And I try not to I try not to stick to Rotten Tomatoes, but
sure,
if it's a movie I find questionable, I might check it out. But yeah, man, what a bummer. And you know, maybe later on down the line when it's like free on streaming, I'll throw it on just to see what it's about.
For sure.
Because there's some critics here who like, and big ones too, like the Hollywood Reporter, IndieWire, that liked it, gave it a positive review.
I wonder if it was done on a budget, because it looks like there's no color grading unless they just like that flat look, and it looks like the sound is like it's super flat. And because that's how sometimes film will come out after you film something, just like this flat raw image, and you color grade it. It also looks like, lighting from, like you said, you know, like a school or like a student. I mean, or things that just happen really fastly. You know what I mean? Very economically, where you don't spend time to really craft the light. And also, it feels like the sound design and the mixing wasn't like top tier. So it makes me question, like, was there a budget issue, or you know what? It's interesting. Like, how did we get here? Time constraint, money issue.
Yeah, we saw it.
Clearly this needed to be dead for $1,000. But yeah, we'll see how this movie comes out, I guess, when it releases. I'll probably watch it just to like know what's going on, you know.
I'll definitely put it on to see like a little bit of it, you know what I mean?
Just to get a
taste.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man, so disappointed. I want so much better for every one of those actors.
Well, I'm going to round this out with one last trailer here. I'm not going to talk about it much, but Spirit, the Halloween store where you go buy Halloween costumes, is making a movie. Okay, it's Spirit Halloween movie.
Yeah.
There's not really much I'm going to say about that, except it is exactly what you think it is, and it's coming out at some point this year.
Probably before Halloween.
I didn't even look up the release date of it, but it's definitely going to flood your eyes with advertisement when the time has come. But enough about trailers, enough about news. We are entering our feature discussion, and spoiler alerts ahead. If you haven't seen The House of Dragon, you might want to come back when you have watched it. We're going to talk about episode 5. We're going to talk about the season so far, and we're going to talk about what we think the thoughts are, what we think is going to happen in the future. So hold on to your butts, and here we go. My boy!
Hey!
How's it going?
This is
Pretty
Miguel
good.
and Ed. Obviously, Steven, you know Miguel and Ed from the podcast because
Yes.
he tunes in. Miguel,
Absolutely.
Ed, this is Steven. We went to
What's
middle
up,
school,
man?
high school together. Groomsmen, all here. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
can you guys hear me? Okay,
I can hear you
good.
great.
Okay, great.
Before we get into it, can you just tell us like a really quick middle school Luis story?
Oh my gosh, a quick one. I have stories we
I
can't.
don't remember
tell
them
or
anymore.
We get in trouble. Yeah, I was gonna say middle school went too
Whoa.
far. My high school ones. Louis was like the head of everything. He was like our president, like our class president, not our class president, like our high school president. Did you run the newspaper or something?
Oh, yeah,
One-
we did.
Yeah.
Are you going to tell the story?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if we could actually tell this story or not.
Sure, you
But,
can.
okay, one night we went out and we had like a newspaper. So there was like newspapers we had to put out in school. And so we just went out in like the middle of the night, me and Louie, and we like stole a newspaper distributor thing, and we dumped all the newspapers out. We broke it open and we repainted it. And we just put it in the school.
We
And
did.
people were like, "Where did you get this?" We made it. You know?
Dude, that's like guerrilla marketing
Yeah.
back in the day, dude.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
We had like our equivalent of like a dean come up and like, where did you get this? Like,
Yeah,
oh, we just
he
made
knew.
it or we found it. Like,
He
you
knew.
stole this, didn't you? It's like, I did not steal it.
I would never.
He knew that we
He
stole it.
knew.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
Awesome.
phenomenal. Luis, that makes so much sense that you were like in charge of things because
Yeah.
you run this shit.
Ever the ambitious leader, yes.
Hell yeah, dude. You have a vision.
I can
and
never do
will
it
be
alone,
seen.
though. I can never do it alone.
But I wish you would, break some rules to get our podcast ahead, man. Like, what's up? Yeah.
That's
I just feel like you're not committed.
Hey, he does enough. He does enough. Ed.
Now that you're on, we can finally talk about House of the Dragon, okay? And we're going to start off by talking about episode 5, We Light the Way, and then we're going to dive in closer into what we think the show's going, our feelings about it, blah, blah, blah. But first off, I mean, let's just start from the beginning. Reactions, episode 5. I'm going to go down the line to Miguel, Ed, and then Steven. Miguel, what are your
God
thoughts?
damn it. I didn't want to go first.
No.
I didn't want to go first. Listen, okay, if it is what it is, I'm just going to be real. Guys, I'm a little bored. I'm a little bored this season.
Ooh.
Big Game of Thrones fan, you guys. I've seen the original show multiple times. Love it. I love the lore. The season started out really strong. I loved the first episode. I just loved kind of jumping back into it. Couple of complaints, but I don't want to get into them just yet. Okay, so just overall general, I'm a little bored, but I'm kind of excited about maybe this time jump is going to help out a little bit. That's all I'll say.
Interesting. Ed, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm kind of like in the same boat as Miguel, unfortunately. I thought
Ooh.
it's been very just kind of like mid-tier. I've tried like
Mid.
it's been very mid. But yeah, man, I feel like each episode has been a little directional less. It's just like it just doesn't the time jumps that we have taken so far just feel like a little random, a little not so put together. And I mean, I keep wanting to see the bigger picture, which of course we won't see until these next few episodes unfold. So I'm really just curious to see where it's all going in the end. Like, how is this season going to end? Because right now, with Game of Thrones, there was just like a solid through line. each season, or at least it felt that way. I mean, there was always the unexpected. I mean, whatever, like the later seasons aside, but you know what I mean? Like, it was all building to something because it was all taking place at the same time. You know, it was like one time frame, whereas this is like jumping from years to years, like, and we're supposed to care about what's happening in this one moment, but really, yeah, it's a little aimless for me right now, and I'm not loving it.
Interesting.
I'm not hating it.
Right.
But I'm not loving it. Mid.
Okay. Like, before, I know I said we're going to go to Steven, but I'm going to interrupt because I'm going to, yeah. So I think it's really funny that you guys say, because you said episode 1, episode 2, you didn't like. And I feel like I'm having almost the inverted experience here because 1 and 2 felt like, I get it. We got to go for the throne. Everyone has the same intention. Everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody has the same goal. And then by the time I hit this episode, I felt like there were so many different, people had so many different intentions. People had so many different wants. And the way that it crisscrossed over each other in this episode found it interesting to me. I also really liked the king. There's this one moment when the king's like super fucked up and he's like, he has his hand and he's just talking about life. And he's like, damn, did I fuck up? Was like good fortune versus a good fortune rarely makes a good song is what he says. Something like that. And they have this debate about like, is it better to live a peaceful and calm life? Or is it better to be working hard and to be put through the trial, the crucible to become a better man, to be forged into a different man? Those, and then he said, well, those who have tested, wish to have been spared it, and I think it's like this type of dialogue is what I was kind of missing in the first couple episodes for me personally. And so when I saw it come out, I was like, ooh, I like this, reflective part of it where people have different needs and wants instead of it just being about the crown all the time. Because you also have the lovers who are dealing with that. You have the Cornelius guy who's like, I think the enemy of this episode. He's a complete crazy person. And is that his name, Cornelius? The what? Oh no!
You're talking about her guard. You're talking about her guard.
The guard. Yeah, the guard. Who's just Kristen Cole. Yeah, yes. Cornelius. I'm making up names. I feel like he's just
That's my middle name.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're the bad guy, Ed. It seems like she was saying when Rhaenyra was like, hey, we should just like, I made this deal. He gets to love whoever, I get to love whoever, and we get to be together. And he's just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, man.
I ruined all of these things. And if the only way for me to save myself is that we get married. And it's like, bro, you're just being selfish right now. All you care about is your honor.
That was a really good scene.
You know what I mean? And he was just like, God damn it. I was hoping we would run away and get married because that would save my honor. And it's like, you don't care about this at all, And
it was just such a such a selfish mindset. You know what I mean? And also very like, I'm the man and you're the woman. You know what I mean? Even though the woman is the heir to the throne.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, look, my guy. And even she was like, towards the second half of that conversation, she's like, no, like this is like, sorry.
This
like,
is so not sexy.
Yeah. And you can see, you just, it's such a true conversation. Like a person who's like built it up in their head of what the image or the future is going to be. And someone has to just be like realistic with them. Like, I don't mean to like rain on your parade, but no. Man, that was
the twist, and the twist that comes at the end when he's just like beating the shit out of the guy. But I mean, look, we can go on and on. We're going to keep going on and on about the episode, but I want to hear Steven's reaction on this episode.
I actually really like George R. R. Martin and the show, and for this reason, everyone comes away with a different view of what they think about these characters. I read, when I read this, there was a side I was on and there was a side I hated. And now that I'm watching, I'm going, you know what? That Otto Hightower isn't as bad as I thought.
Oh.
I'm like, he's making a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And same with Kristen Cole, where I'm going, you know what? I thought this selfish, arrogant, jerk. And now I'm watching, I'm going, I think this kid's broken.
Yeah.
I think I care.
Yeah.
I think I actually give a darn. And so to me, being able to contrast it against the book is even more magnifying. I'm even more stunned that they can build so much life into these characters that I already felt were so alive. So to me, it's not a bothersome at all when it's slow or boring or calm. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. So were you implying that somebody else perhaps was the villain in this episode? Or like
I do. I think it was Joffrey. I do. I think it was Joffrey Monmouth. I think I have a huge problem with the way the Targaryens really do think that someone will just obey. They can wrong someone, it not be overt, but then they still sort of dismiss them aside. So, for example, in that scene with Kristen Cole and Rhaenyra on the boat, she says, "You think I would give all this up for oranges?" And he's saying, "No, for me. You kind of threw me away with these oranges and happiness line. Where did you even see me? Did you even care that it was me? You sort of forced yourself on me in sort of a Me Too moment of I can't say no to my boss. And did that even bother you?" Like, so to me, I'm watching this, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize it meant so much to him.
Yeah.
So I'm actually like, I'm watching with my mouth open. Like, am I falling in love with Kristen Cole?
Right.
I hated him before the show started.
I like that.
I didn't think he was the bad guy necessarily. I don't think he was necessarily being an arsehole. He's just a very naive person who got
very naive.
Who got pulled into a situation. First off, I mean, taking the white cloak is a really intense commitment. Beyond that, I mean, he is sworn to protect Rhaenyra, but also she's also like the heir to the throne, so you kind of have to do what she says, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And, chances are he was probably a virgin going into that.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe not. I mean, he's got a hot bod, but it's yeah. So I didn't think I came out thinking like other people were becoming the villains, namely Alicent Hightower. And granted, she's been in a tough situation too, but she seemed, I don't know. I think the awkward position she finds herself in as Rhaenyra's stepmother.
Yeah.
I kind of hate how she leans into that. Like when she referred to her as stepdaughter in this one, I mean, I was just like, ooh. No.
I will say, we're using the word like villain a lot, and I'm just kind of, I don't know, I'm spitballing here in the moment. I haven't really thought about this, but it does kind of feel like the villains aren't necessarily like bad guys. You know what I mean? Like you're over here saying like Alicent's, you can understand where she's coming from in the awkward position she's in, and it always kind of makes you wonder. It's like, is the bad guy, are the villains of the show just the Targaryens? You know what I mean? There's the three.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The king, the princess, the brother.
It's a great question.
Yeah, they're the ones doing it. They're doing all the kind of messed up shit, whilst everybody else is just trying to keep up,
And they can't be opposed. You can't actually tell them what to do. You can't ever. I mean, they'll just kill you. They have dragons and no one else does. They're basically dictators.
Because, like, what would have happened to Kristen Cole if he had denied her?
Great question. He doesn't probably know.
He probably would have been stripped of his title and or relocated to a lesser role. She put. That's an interesting point. I guess they framed the Hightowers as like, you always think the hand of the king is up to some shit. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who it is, Littlefinger or whatever. Tyrion even, like Tyrion was always up to some shit. But that's interesting. And maybe that is the case. Like, we're just, because does this not lead to the Civil War? The Targaryen Civil War?
The Dance of the Dragons, right? That's what we're building to.
Yes. Yeah, if you want to know, yes. There are two factions one's called the Greens and one's called the Blacks. So like that scene when she walks out and she's all green. I read the book, I'm going, this is it.
I
had a huge moment.
I had a coworker bring that up to me today. That was like, oh, well, like in the books, you don't find out till much later that green is like the color of of war, and how like what that symbolizes. And if you don't read the books, you don't quite, it's not as overt.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean. Like she's coming in, like making a statement. I didn't realize that the first, obviously watching. I've never read the books. So
Sarah,
I understand.
Yeah, Sarah and I were in the same bit. Like first off, we were just like, oh, it's because she's walking in late and kind of making a statement, interrupting the whole. The king was making a speech, wasn't he? And then like we literally had the one creepy dude.
Clubfoot.
Man.
Yeah,
his name is Larys Strong. Yeah, I know these books.
Larys Strong, who like you can find a more typical like like creepy
bad guy,
dude.
creepy bad guy.
Yeah,
right?
like,
but
and he like literally spelled out why
Yeah.
we were like in shock and awe. I was like, oh, come on.
But
Like,
honestly,
yeah,
okay, hold on.
prelude to that.
I will say this: as someone who had no idea what's going on, obviously with the green color, and usually I'm like, oh, exposition, so heavy-handed. At that
Yeah.
point, I was like, okay, wait, what's happening, sir? Okay,
Yeah.
And
They
so
had to put that line in. I mean, they had
you
to,
have to
otherwise
put that
it would've
line in
been-
because I had no idea
just drop
really.
it earlier. Like, just
Oh
mention
yeah,
it
I
earlier.
agree.
It's
Yeah.
like where like when the
Right. Yes.
when Otto leaves her,
Yes,
he's
that's
just like
smart.
wear your high
Ooh,
tower
good one.
colors strong or some shit. I don't know, but like to literally just like
Yeah,
pan to the one creepy
I
guy
like
we
that.
just met, and he's just like, "Do you know why they wear green?"
Yeah.
Also, you're right. No,
The guy next to him literally is like, "Is it green?"
That's his brother.
It's like, it is green. It is green.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're right. You're
it was
right.
a
I
little-
agree. I think it, and it also, I will say this, because I appreciated the information I got. Putting that information earlier, it would have helped with that scene, so we would have had a little bit more like respect for that scene as she came out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Letting the music
Yes,
sink in,
yes.
letting the feeling sink in, instead of having this exposition on the side. And then at the moment when it happens, like, oh, we talked about this earlier. I can put the
Yeah.
thoughts together myself. You know what I mean?
I wonder how many people would have missed it if they had done that. I think, sometimes
Right.
they worry about like, I mean, you're right. It's not well done, but I wonder if you're directing or writing and you're thinking, I can't do that. That's
It's a
too many
hard
people are gonna-
balance. This
I gotta
is like,
slip it in.
this
or
is the
whatever.
this is the
I gotta-
I will
difficulty.
say, I mean,
Yeah.
she looks stunning. Like that was like a very like, and standing in that entire room where everybody's wearing like dark robes and stuff like that, apart from Rhaenyra, of course. But like, she really stood out, and it was like a gorgeous dress and stuff. But
Yeah.
that like little bit of context could have just been handled a little better.
I agree.
But hey ho.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's good to know these things though. From
Yeah, I had no
the
idea.
books-
So
the
this
books.
is
Yeah.
you said the faction of the green versus the black, and so that's what
Yeah.
you're saying. What it sounds to me
Yeah.
is like the high tower versus.
Well, the thing I do want to say, one of the reasons it's been fun. I've been talking to my friends who've seen it and like my family, and I've been watching some reactions on YouTube, and it's someone who will go like all 5 episodes. At the end of the first episode, they're sure. They're like, oh, so it's going to be a civil war between Rhaenyra and Daemon.
That's what I called it
Then
out.
by the
Yeah.
second episode, I remembered. I was like, then by the second, they're like, oh, I'm sure it's going to be between this one and this one. And then the next, oh, I'm sure. You haven't met the black team. You haven't met the blacks yet. Or, well, they're not. They're going to get cast for the first time in the time jump.
Right.
They're yet to arrive. Like, so we haven't even, we're still setting the stage of the characters. I keep my eye on, I think his name is Harris Strong, but his name is Breakbones. And he's been in 4 episodes. And I've asked everyone if they've noticed him, and no one's noticed him. He's the son of the Hand of the King. The Hand of the King has 2 sons, Clubfoot and Breakbones.
Dude, I thought
Breakbones-
Clubfoot was Breakbones when they were talking. I was like, wait, isn't that the same dude? But I guess
And
they looked the
Breakbones
same.
is the one who carried Rhaenyra out of the scuffle.
Right?
Yes. He's also the one she ran into when she ran away from Daemon. She ran into Breakbones. That
Oh,
episode,
and you better be lucky or whatever. She's like,
Yeah.
he's like, you're lucky you ran into me.
yeah.
Okay.
These
Interesting.
people will end up having like monologues in season 3. They'll end up being the head of the army in season 4. Like, it
that's
will be
cool.
their
That's cool.
problem.
Yeah.
Well, I think about like you guys were talking about having an overarching story in Game of Thrones, but I wonder, how does Joffrey's lineage add to the overarching story of like the White Walkers? Like, does that ever matter at all? Because I never saw Game of Thrones that way. I didn't see it as one overarching story. I saw it as this small character problems that create butterfly effects down the line, not one plot to get us from A to B. I never saw it that way. So I'm surprised to hear it. I wonder if this is why I like George R. R. Martin, but it's tiny little moments, like in the hunting episode of seeing the stag when it took the king so much difficulty to kill a tied up animal. To me, that is almost all I needed from an hour-long episode to go, I love this episode. That's like all I need. It's just a little bit of character progress, and I'm happy. That's all I need to be happy. So I just want to point out Breakbones, just so you guys keep your eye on him going forward. So yes, there's the greens and the blacks, and you haven't met. Actually, I guess you haven't met the greens yet. You've met a few of the blacks, but you haven't met the greens yet. You think you know the greens, you don't know the greens. You don't know them yet.
Real quick, I'm sorry. The two sons of the Hand of the King. I know the one who saved Rhaenyra in the
Breakbones.
the wedding. Who was the
Yes.
other one again?
The
Clubfoot.
cripple.
The cripple, yeah. They call him Clubfoot. Yeah.
The bad guy, the Littlefinger-esque bad guy.
Yes, he pointed out to Allison that Rhaenyra was she sick? Was she sick? I heard she was sick, and he said the line about the green. Yeah.
The
See, my question about that is: do you think his dad told him to say that, or is he just doing that on his own? Like,
great questions. This is why I love the show. Great question. I don't know. I'm ready to find out. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, because I was like, wow, what a benefit does he get from instigating this type of thing? You know what I mean?
Great
like,
question.
is he going against his dad? Is that a whole even other story where we're gonna get where like he has this issue with his kids? Do you know what I mean? I think it's like this feels like, I don't know, any great improv setup scene where you like start off with the most basic and boring shit just to set like the tone, and then once you set the tone, you can go wild and crazy with it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And from what
I promise you, it is going to get terrifying.
What you're saying too is like we're still setting up the stage. Like, like we're still putting the checkers up. Yeah, but there's drama as we set up the stage. There's all these little dramas that are going to create the bigger drama of whatever this overarching. I mean, I keep saying overarching because that's how we're used to seeing story structure.
No, there is an overarching,
as you mentioned. Yeah.
You're right.
Well, there was one thing I think I've mentioned this before when we've discussed the show, especially earlier on. The way that it's framed and the way that it's taking these time jumps. I've said like it feels like everything is like a prologue to maybe a bigger story, kind of like how the very first episode opens up with that narration of how what's the king's name again?
Jaehaerys. It's Jaehaerys then Viserys.
Viserys, they're just like they're telling the tale of the king and how they decided on the heir and stuff like that, and the queen that never was. So it feels like, and especially the way it's shot, which I'm kind of mixed on. But
that was like a very Lord of the Rings. You said that in that episode too. You're like,
very
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, almost like fairy tale-esque, just like how they set it up.
Very out of place.
So, okay, and that makes more sense. And your excitement about it is.
I do love
getting me excited. You're getting me excited, Stephen.
No, I gotta say, it's good to have Stephen here. You should have been here from the beginning, holding our hands through House of Dragons.
Just reassuring us,
because I like Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? I've seen the show a million times, but I'm definitely not like the book reader. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, to have someone who like can really like plot out these things and be like, no, this is why this is important. This is helpful. Because right now, kind of like my first run through of Game of Thrones all those years ago, I was just along for the ride. Every episode was just like, okay, what's happening? Like it wasn't until like the second and third time I watched that show that I really understood like the characters' names. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like that's what's happening here is maybe it's just kind of flying over my head a little bit, and all my bitching is really just my ineptitude.
I wonder if it's suffering from the success of Game of Thrones, where if we had seen this for the first time, we would just have no problems with it. But because we have something to compare it to, we're raised the bar on it. We all did this. I did this too.
Yeah,
absolutely. When you come out in episode 1 of the series, you have to take into account. I mean, sure, maybe down the line people won't, but you have to take into account people's experience with Game of Thrones, the first one.
True.
Do you know what I mean? And so even not dealing with the story, but just the filmmaking of it all, it's like, you have to take into account where people are coming in with the sour taste in their mouth, with all of this stuff. And that's why I had difficulty with those first couple episodes. Because like, listen, man, I'm giving you my time again in the middle of the week. What are you doing? Show me. And you're right. You wouldn't have had this pressure to wow me from the get-go if it wasn't for this thing. But at the same time, like, I don't know if you have the luxury to do that. But regardless, people showed up. People are here for it. House of the Dragon is making its way. It seems like it's gonna be an awesome, great show.
I have a question for you three. Did any of you three watch Game of Thrones season 1 week by week when it came out? Like that year it came out? Week by week, episode by episode?
No. I think I got onto it right as it was wrapping up.
I think I understand that. Miguel, you said no, I think yours.
No, I was lucky enough for Ed to hand me seasons 1 through 3 on DVD.
Hey, that's great.
And that was the first time we ever watched Game of Thrones.
I mean,
and we were
that was like,
immediately.
10 years ago?
Oh
literally.
man, dude,
So
it was.
This is a good point. This is a good point you're making. And for me too, it was after the Red Wedding. I remember because people were talking about it, and I was like, "What's this show?" I remember watching it, just after that. But yeah, I mean, we were trained to binge it and kind of not suffer the week by week experience, where we could be like, it
was one of those shows that earned that right by
Absolutely.
And let me tell you, the funny thing, the reason why I got into the show was actually I was like a big fan of Sean Bean. So I dove in. I was just like, fuck yeah. I love his character. It's so noble.
8 seasons of perfection.
He's on that first season, like DVD cover, the poster, all of that.
Oh, and it's such a good one too.
Oh man,
that
giant
poster.
sword he's got.
Sword.
And you're just
He's sitting and he's kind of like head down on the throne, like he doesn't want it.
And you've got this like, it's a big HBO high budget show, and Sean Bean is the star. Yeah. Yes, please.
I'm in.
Nope.
yeah.
But that was also just like what gripped the world with Game of Thrones. Is like they take away those characters, they shock you with that.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously we all got hooked, so no complaints. But
I just think that because I think there was like the Red Wedding would never have hit like it hit if there wasn't 3 seasons of them just being just Rob going this way, going that way, talking to his wife, and then it happens and it culminates. It like closes like an accordion, and that is what's happening here. Because I promise you, the middle of this it's a bloodbath. I mean, this is a bloodbath like you're not ready for, and. If they weren't going this slow, I would have been upset. I'd be like, "Come on, you're just trying to get to it. You gotta give us time to love."
They're doing that. If they went fast enough, they would have been pulling the DCEU thing where they're just let's go straight to the Justice League. Let's not build up to it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
The dragons are dancing.
Steven.
Let me ask you this, kind of in a similar vein, Steven.
Sure.
Did you read the books before Game of Thrones came out, or did you start reading after the show?
I watched season 1 as it was coming out. Didn't know anything about it. So Ned dies. I'm going, what the hell is happening? Season 1 ends. Win season 2 a year, and I ran to the bookstore. I read the second book, couldn't understand it, had to go back to read the first book, and I realized how much wasn't in the show. So I had to go, I see how he's writing. I get it. There's a slow, methodical progress of a character who's... We don't even see him in the first season, but he's going to be there in the 5th season. He's going to be huge, stuff like that. I started to figure out how he's writing. So I only the first season. I watched the first season, and then I immediately ran the books before the second season came out.
That's cool.
I was hooked. I was hooked.
A follow-up question about the books. The Dance of Dragons, it's set up as a prequel to Game of Thrones. Is it like just like a broad history of a Targaryen dynasty, or is it kind of written? Because I think I read the first book of Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah,
that followed what the first season followed, and like you get, I mean, it's almost like frame by frame the way that story plays out. Is it the same for this? Do you find, or is it? Do you feel like they're having to fill in a lot of the blanks?
They are
with dialogue and stuff like that too?
That's a good. I see. Yes. So the book itself is called Fire and Blood, and it's like 1,000-page. It's a history of Targaryens. It starts with Aegon. It goes through all these different kings, and Dance of Dragons is like 3 chapters within this book. So it goes real fast.
Oh, okay.
Like it goes real fast, and Fire and Blood is written differently from Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is first person privileged. So you're inside the head of Tyrion and Arya. But this one is written as though you pulled a history book off the wall. So it's written by Grand Maester, and he will tell you, here's what we think happened. So, for example, so like the episode, the sex episode, what was that for? When she goes with Daemon?
Oh, God.
In that episode, there are 3 possibilities. They're saying, we don't know what happened, but we do know that the king sent her tea. Here's what the rumors were at the time. There's a rumor that she slept with Kristen Cole. There's a rumor that she asked to sleep with Kristen Cole. He said no, so she went to Daemon. There's a rumor that she slept with Breakbones. There's a rumor that... So there's all these different possibilities.
Rhaenyra?
Yeah, there's all these different possibilities. And they it leaves it up to you to figure it out. Now, when you're translating that into a visual medium, obviously you're going to be hampered, right, by gossip. So again, when I'm watching this episode, I'm going... damn, their hands were cuffed, and they did a pretty good job of throwing in all three of those men, by the way. Like 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
figure it out on your own. All three of those men are suspects in the history. But it's written like we don't really know, but here's what we were told. So it's kind of written as though it was an actual history book. It's not so concrete. So there's no like dialogue, actually. It's sort of just what they talked about. Or at that wedding, she walked in wearing green and we were stunned. Yeah. So when I'm watching the show, I'm going, yes, they're coming alive to me. I see them. I feel them for the first time.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so I'm just having a blast. So I love this. But I can't judge it as just a show.
I just added that to my Amazon cart. But I will say that does explain, because like one of my constant complaints about the show too has been the dialogue. And that
not George.
also comes with like the massive time jumps that they've been taking. So what you're saying basically is just making a lot more sense now. And they might not, or they haven't at least yet made it clear what that perspective is coming into the show, I guess, which might help. I don't know, but yeah, I'm glad you're here to tell us all of this shit, because now it makes it feel more focused on why we're seeing what we're seeing.
Yes, and why they're making the choices they're making. I feel like I understand perfectly why they're doing what they have to do. So I'll give them. I'll say like, I remember, Ed, in one episode you were talking about like when Damon attacks and he kills the crab feeder, and you were like, this is ridiculous violence, and I agree with you. I was like, come on, he would have been dead. He would have been stuck to the ground with arrows all up and down his body. Yes, it's ridiculous.
Just too convenient.
Too convenient. You're right. In the book, it doesn't happen just like that. But of course, you don't actually get what did happen. You just get that they lured him out. He fought him one-on-one. He brought out his head. And so if you're writing the episode, you're going, all right, let's see. Let's figure it out.
Yeah. It's just like imagery that they have to put together. Because that was another question I was going to ask you, is like, what was the point of the crab feeder?
See, to me, in my opinion, the crab feeder serves two functions. The first one is that the sea snake doesn't trust his king, Corlys Valerian, the Dreads. He doesn't trust his king to protect him, which is the number one job of a king, to protect your crown. And also that Daemon can be the muscle for the crown. He can do the heavy lifting for the crown. And also they showed, he doesn't want his brother's help. He's tired of being overshadowed by his brother. That's what he feels. He feels overshadowed. To me, that's the point of the crab feeder. It's a MacGuffin kind of situation. It's just there to show us how the characters, who they are, what they feel, what they want. That's, to me, what I'm watching when I watch the show. Who are they?
True. Are you guys ready to talk about like the season in general? Just like some pros
absolutely.
and some cons.
Yeah, hit it up, Miguel. Hit it up. Lead it up.
Just kind of like general thoughts from everyone. I'll take the lead since I segued into it. If that's okay. Because like obviously, like I said at the beginning, at the start, I'm a little bored on some things, but I don't want that to come across like that I'm not having moments that I'm enjoying. You know what I mean? First off, there's several characters that I thought that I am super into, and a couple that I thought that I wasn't going to be into, but I'm super.
Who are they?
Daemon Targaryen. Okay, Matt. Ed, what's his name?
Smith.
Matt Smith. Okay, I came into this. I guess like I have just very little interaction with Matt Smith, like content. I know he was Doctor Who. He was in that really shitty Terminator movie. When they cast him in this, I was kind of like, I don't know. Like, I'm such a fan of Game of Thrones, and I don't know if he's in Morbius. I don't know. I just didn't know. His character Daemon, though, it turned out to be like one of the most interesting characters thus far. Like, I'm super invested in what he wants to do. He not only is his ambition kind of like very standard for Game of Thrones. There's all these characters that have all these higher aspirations, but he's got this kind of sinister vibe to him. Like, I will do whatever, and I'm not going to show you all my moves. I'm just going to do them. You know what I mean?
Miguel, just to interrupt you a little, Daemon is George R. R. Martin's favorite Targaryen. He says that's his favorite by far. He loved writing him and making him. Yeah, he says he's my favorite. You can find him on YouTube talking about him. Yeah, he says that's his favorite Targaryen ever. He loved him. Yeah, I just want to throw that out there. Yeah, he's amazing.
Okay, that's cool. And Matt Smith is doing a phenomenal job playing this character. Like, he's not hamming it up at all. All of these moments are just like perfectly played. There was that one episode, I don't know if we talked about it or if it was the internet and I was reading it, but that episode where Damon's not really in it too much, and then he shows up. It's just before the crab feeder, he takes him down and he like lands on the dragon. He doesn't have any lines of dialogue. The guy shows up and like gives him the scroll from the king, and then he beats the shit out of the guy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you're just like, dude, this guy's kind of like vicious, man. He's got this like darkness in him, and he's gonna get his and not necessarily tell you what his moves are. I'm super invested in what he's gonna do.
He's like a modern day Peter Cushing. Like he
Come again?
Who's
Peter Cushing?
He played Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars.
Yes.
He's the guy they digitally recreated for Rogue One. So he
Believe it or not, I knew exactly who you were talking about on name alone. So
Okay.
pat on my back.
So anyway, he was like he had a very just like unique look, and often just played villains, if not that, specifically like Sherlock Holmes. I feel like Matt Smith's career is following that same trajectory.
The Giancarlo Esposito or the what's it called? Inglourious Bastards. Okay, whatever. But yeah. He's following the same
Christoph
trajectory.
Waltz.
Christoph Waltz. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I no, totally. But yeah, it's like he's relishing it. And I mean, whenever they said like, "Oh yeah, Matt Smith's going to be a Targaryen in the new show," you're just like, "Of course he is."
It seemed kind of on the nose or expected in a way.
Yeah,
but he's doing so many unexpected things, or at least for me.
for sure.
You know what I mean? And I'm having a really great time with him.
One thing
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead. No, I'm stepping all over you. Go ahead.
One thing I just like remembered was just like he kind of just like disappeared in this episode.
Like after the violence starts towards the end?
Like when him and Rhaenyra are like schmoozing, and then suddenly like a fight breaks out.
Dude, I love that visual. It was so good.
It was really well done.
They did such a good job. How they were like, the people were coming together and they were like, as an audience with the king, you're like, what is happening?
What's happening?
And you're focused on then you hear the screams and then you're like, wait, does it tie in with what's happening here? No, it's a completely separate thing. I loved how it was able to visually show it with the cuts, with the sound mixing. It was awesome. Sorry, I just wanted to nerd out about that.
No, that really was a solid moment of this episode. And I mean, I started the episode last night and I finished it tonight, and that was like the last thing we had to get to. And I was like, damn,
they did a good job. Yeah.
It's like the first time I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm really invested, and then they're about to change the actors. You know what I mean? And
I can't believe at the same time, that. Yeah.
We'll get to it in a minute. I don't want to talk about it necessarily right now, but just the look ahead and the time jump. My wife commented on it, and I was like, absolutely. She was like, they did such a good job, not only with the casting, but the way the characters have been portrayed thus far in these 5 episodes.
Yeah.
It just in the preview, you know exactly who they are 10 years later.
Dude, I didn't even watch the preview because I wanted that moment when I watched the next episode and be like, boom, like to see them for the first time. I don't know what they look like, so I'm excited.
You don't know what they look like? You haven't seen any promos at all?
No, I've just seen the young Rhaenyra.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I think that it's only Rhaenyra and Alicent who are changing. I think everybody else...
surely the Valyrian children.
Dude, yes. Oh, I loved that. That was a moment where I was like, I see what this show's kind of doing. Was when the young Valyrian girl, Lena. When she was supposed to marry... what's it? And she grew up.
3 different versions of her
grew
in
up.
6 episodes. Because we saw her as a child when she was going to maybe marry the king. We saw her years later when she didn't marry the king, and she's just kind of hanging around as
and flirting with
going to marry.
Yeah.
And then in the promo ahead, I won't spoil too much, Luis, but she's definitely aged up.
Wow.
And it's like a 3rd actress playing the
Damn,
character.
poor actor just had one episode and she can get to show up for the next
I
one.
don't know. Some of these things can just, you know what I mean, shoot you off into the stratosphere. You know what I mean? You're on a project that was hot.
Yeah, you get to say I was on Game of Thrones, whatever, forever, and Ollie had it come in for one day. Yeah, and you get to say it forever the rest of your life.
Dude,
put it on your resume.
I know, that's a credit. That's yours.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Speaking of the Valyrians, the only other one I wanted to mention, I'm kind of digging a lot of the characters right now, but the not only is Daemon Targaryen one of my favorites, but the father Valyrian, who's you said his name earlier, Stephen.
Okay, the sea snake, Corlys.
Corlys, the sea snake.
These are my two
you said
favorite
Dreads.
characters in the whole thing. It's the sea snake and Daemon. They're my favorite characters by far.
So
So
good.
cool.
And I just want to briefly comment on like what the internet was talking about. Of course, like we talked about this last week, The Little Mermaid. There was a lot of bitching, even from like hardcore Game of Thrones fans.
Really?
They were like, why are these characters black? It doesn't fit into the blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, dude, first off, just wait until you see the show to make a judgment. But he is also one of the coolest characters. And I don't mean cool, just cool. I mean, like, he's one of the most, like, I'm most invested in what he's doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? His ambition rivals Littlefinger's in a way. You know what I mean? But he's not the Littlefinger type.
He's not like a piece of shit. Yeah, he's... Man, when Viserys entered into the... I don't know what their island is called or whatever, but the Sea Snake's throne was badass.
Dude, I love the visuals of that.
What a solid moment.
It's like the king at the bottom and him at the top.
At the top on a throne.
On a throne, bro. That is a great visual. I loved it.
Bro. And then he stands up and you kind of go, and they're saying so much without saying it. But then he kneels and you're like, oh, okay.
That's what I want. That's the type of stuff that I like about this show that's Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? Yeah. I have a question. I have a question about.
Thank you,
Stephen.
So
that's why I brought you on.
So I'm less knowing about the lore and things like that. Valyrian. So they have dragons as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they can drag. Right.
They can drag them. So and then when Rhaenyra is talking the old language, is that
High Valyrian?
High Valyrian. Yeah. So
there's High Valyrian and there's like Bastard Valyrian, and I think I don't know. It's probably the same as like Spanish and Italian or something. I don't know. I don't know.
Right. Where it's like vernacular Valyrian versus like Latin.
I'm
Valyrian,
sure you can understand.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There you go. Probably Latin. That's probably a good way.
Right. And so they're not even speaking old Targaryen language. You're speaking a language that's their cousin's language. Is that what I'm?
Well, no. So Valyria is the name of the land where they came from. So they all come from the east, but it exploded one day. A volcano went up and killed everyone. So that's a language from that land. And there are plenty of people, by the way, still in Essos who can speak Valyrian. There's tons of. Do you remember in Game of Thrones when Daenerys takes her Unsullied? That is in Valyrian. They have been speaking Valyrian the whole time. They didn't know she could speak Valyrian, and she tells them, I am the blood of old Valyria. Valyria is my mother tongue. That is, they've been speaking it the whole time. Many people can speak it. Many people can speak it. But it comes from Valyria, this land that is no longer alive anymore. Both the Targaryens and the Valyrians came
That's
from
the
there.
one that gets overwhelmed with gray scale,
yes.
Right?
That's not the books. That's very annoying to me as a reader because nothing can survive in Valyria. So it's very annoying that they had Tyrion go through. No, you can't go through there. You can't go back there. It's impossible. But yes, that is that place in the show. That was very frustrating. But I get it. But again, that's why I say I like the first half. The second half, they clearly didn't care what they were. They didn't care about the source anymore, which is fine. But it wasn't for me. But yes, that is that playset.
Yeah, you were talking about looking forward to the season. I know we're making our way. We obviously love certain characters.
Oh yeah, Ed, you got favorite characters?
I really do. I do like Viserys. I think Paddy Constantine has done a great job.
He's killing it.
I'm curious. Yeah. Hey, they haven't had to switch him out. They've just kind of given him a fading wig. He's been kind of like the, I don't know, I almost want to say the emotional center point of the show because you kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah.
He clearly isn't like the brave warrior king that people want out of a king, and he's not daring or anything. And Luis, you were referencing that speech earlier where he was talking about.
Yeah.
And I mean, you like as a king, would you not want to be like you'd think you'd be satisfied with years of peace overall, but
But it hardly makes a good song. No one will sing about him later.
And these were times where things were just nice. And but yeah, no, I think he does a terrific job. Obviously, Damon is a great character. I agree. I really like Corlys Velaryon. I'm really excited to see more of the dynamic between Corlys and Rhaenys Targaryen.
Oh,
the queen who never was, or whatever.
I didn't think to mention her earlier. I love that character. I love like how she stands for the story. Just the title of the queen that never was. Is so
it's got a little mysticism to it, you know.
Exactly. She's got this like regalness to her where she's even got lines where she's like, I've put it behind me, but you're like, no, you haven't. Like, let's see.
I do want to know. I feel like just from what we've gotten from Otto Hightower, I feel like a little bit underwhelmed just because like Rhys Ifans is like a really great actor. And so it was interesting to see him in this very kind of like contained role, very stern kind of, I don't know. And obviously coming again from Game of Thrones, you had people like Littlefinger, these conniving cunts that just were always getting their fingers in other people's business.
Their little fingers.
Yeah. So I am curious, like, are we going to see more of him, or is like his story kind of coming to an end?
He has to come back.
I feel like he has to come back. That's what I want as a viewer, not knowing anything.
I mean, just because, purely because I love Rhys Ifans, and but for his story to end now would be very disappointing.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but you know, I want.
They've got to come back to him eventually, right?
We're talking about coming back. Let's talk about this 10-year plus time jump we're about to experience.
10-year plus, really?
Like we're talking about these characters coming. Someone said the word decade in the promo for this next episode, so I'm assuming it's got to be at least about 10 years.
All right.
That's what a decade is.
Because that is a decade. I don't know if you got decade. So I mean, to bring Otto Hightower back after 10 years, it's like, okay, what has he been doing? And really, that's kind of, to me, when I talked about earlier being kind of bored, which I now I feel bad saying that, but the thing I'm really looking forward to is like, okay, this time, kind of like Marvel. Louis talked about Marvel earlier. When the Avengers jumped forward 5 years, you're like, whoa, this is like a really big leap, and it's so rich for storytelling. What has happened? Same thing here. In 10 years, okay, where are these characters? Where have their ambitions, you know what I mean, grown or died? And Otto Hightower coming back, he's pretty old. I'm sorry, that was the tangent I went on. He's kind of old. So him coming back, I'd be interested to see what weight he brings.
I just had a memory, or like a flashback, a war flashback to Game of Thrones. Don't go looking for this because it's a spoiler. If you rewatch Game of Thrones, you will come across this spoiler. But at one point, Joffrey tells Marjorie how the Dance of Dragons ends. He tells her, and it's in there. Like there is a line where he explains the ending to this show, and I just realized that. Don't go look for it if you don't want a spoiler. Keep away from it. But if you want to know, I just realized he tells you how this ends. Joffrey is excited about how this ends. This whole thing ends. I just realized that. Like, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I just wanted to say that, so now it's in your heads too. But anyway, so 10 years time jump. So when I'm watching, like, what I'm looking forward to is seeing these characters as I know them, because I'm sure they're going to come to the Capitol. You know, we're going to meet these people again. I wonder, like there's families that we're going to see again, like Starks or Tyrells or Martells, things like that. And so I'm excited for the time jump because I want them here now. Like I want to see them again. I want to talk to them. So I want to see them start their interactions.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You said something now. My wheels are turning in my brain. I didn't even think about the Starks. I didn't even think about the Martells. They've been mentioned just very casually in the beginning couple of episodes. Yeah,
we did see them.
A Stark for sure, but they definitely mentioned the Martells at one point as well.
The Martells are the ones who eventually marry into the Targaryen dynasty.
Yes,
right?
Rhaegar's wife was a Martell.
Oh.
Yeah, Rhaegar's wife.
Right.
I guess Daenerys' sister-in-law would have been
Yeah.
They also,
and we all know what happened there.
Aegon had two sister wives, the first conqueror. He had two sisters, And the Martells killed a dragon. Like, they're the only people to have killed and downed a dragon. It's one of the reasons why they weren't brought into the Seven Kingdoms. They held out.
Yeah.
So they're pretty independent. They're the only ones to have killed a dragon. And they killed one of his wives, we think.
Ooh.
Yeah, they kept their independence. So I really like the Martells. They're one of my favorites.
Dude. You're
The
tickling my
Martells
fancy.
It's a good book.
They were done a great
So
disservice.
underutilized. Absolutely.
Yeah, especially after Oberon Martell.
Yes.
The expectations were so high, and then they just left like a fart in the wind.
Interesting.
By the
Speaking
way,
of farts in the wind,
sorry,
what's
not to
our
interrupt.
favorite-
In the books, the Martells do not do that. That show stuff is nowhere near what they do in the books. In the books, they're 10 times more cool. It's so much better in the books. Not to be that guy, but it's 10 times better in the books. The Martell. Yeah. Sorry, but it is. Yeah.
But you're that guy.
I don't want to be that guy. I just want to be that guy, but I am.
No, I get it. No, dude, I mean, the source material is rich for a reason. You know what I mean? That's why those first 4 seasons. Oh, actually, Steven, quick little aside. Let me take you over here and ask you a quick question. Everyone here, everyone listening, everyone on the internet, Game of Thrones, the show, okay? Seasons 1 through 8.
Okay.
Everyone has a cutoff where they say this is the season where you can stop watching. And I'm curious. Let's do a quick little round table. Steven, we'll
Should I
start
start?
with you.
Okay. For me,
go ahead.
It was season 5. That was the last season I watched. That's not true because I went back and binged it all and watched it with my family. They wanted to do season 8. So, but after season 5, I was offended. I couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
It was Stannis' death. Stannis was one of my favorites. He would never burn his daughter alive. This is sacrilege. This is wrong. That is not him at all. And seeing that stuff like that happen where they took characters and twisted them into this weird golem, I was said, I can't do this anymore. So season 5 was horrifying for me, but I still watched it. I could not start season 6. I can't. So 5 is my cutoff.
But so in your mind, that's where the story ends.
Yeah. I die with Stannis, I think.
Died with Stannis.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's where I died.
Okay, cool. That's interesting.
Yeah. So that's my cutoff 5.
For me, it's season 6.
Okay.
Simply because, and now listen, I didn't read the books, okay? But so for me, the hardest, coldest ending to Game of Thrones to me is, oh my God, why am I blinking on her name? Cersei blowing up the sept of Baelor and becoming queen, and then right in that same time, Jon's figuring out he's being named King of the North.
Oh, the Battle of the Bastards.
Daenerys is also sailing to King's Landing, you know what I mean, for the first time, finally coming into to King's Landing. And to me, season 6, but I know a lot of people, especially on the internet, have an earlier cutoff. So, Luis, Ed, do you guys have a different answer?
No, I agree with you. Season 6, it ended so phenomenally.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, that, like you said, that episode 10. Well, the two, episode 9 and 10, were just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Battle of the Bastards and the Winds of Winter, I think it was called.
Oh, man.
Incredible episodes.
Yes.
And
My favorite episode of all of Game of Thrones was that episode.
yeah. So, yeah, I'm with you. Season 5, though, I do remember was the first season where I started to wonder,
Yes.
but it was also
question.
a real heavy. That was a real heavy season because, there wasn't anything hopeful that happened. Sansa married Ramsay. That was just so rough.
That was tough.
Rough journey, and then Stannis, of course, and then Hardhome was the episode of episode 9 of that season, and that was a rough one because that was the first time we saw the real threat of the White Walkers. So,
that was a
and then
good
season 6 really bounced back. So yeah, season 6 for me for sure.
Luis?
Yeah, I think I'm looking through IMDb because honestly, I've seen the show one time, so I'm trying to remember.
What?
Only
one
once?
time. I know. Well, you know what?
You're so busy.
He's
You're
busy.
so busy.
I'm busy.
I'm kidding.
No, no. Listen, I this is what happens when you don't have a strong landing. It's very difficult for me to rewatch it.
Go back
because
yes.
I'm a completionist and I'd like to go all the way through. and it pains me not being able to go all the way through, and it pains me that it ends this way. So it's difficult for me to go on this journey again. Oh, so Steven just left right now. We missed him. We were having some technical difficulties. We're going to have to wait to get his insight. But thank you, Steven, for coming on board, giving us that insight. We're going to have you back when we do the House of the Dragon finale. We're going to talk about that, seeing how you felt about it. But we loved you as our first guest. And now we're going into what we're into. All right, so pardon the interruption. This is Luis. I'm editing in the middle of the night, so I'm whispering, not to wake anyone else up. And so as I was editing this podcast, Steven sent me a text message about his new theory. And I'm just going to read exactly what he wrote. Oh my God, I had an epiphany. Breakbones was the messenger to Otto. This is my new theory, that Lionel Strong is actually playing against Otto. Now, the child who saw them together was actually working for Masseria, who helped Damon to bed. We got misdirected in that episode, I think. Here it is. Breakbones told his father Lionel, because he always checks in with his dad, that he saw the princess with Damon. His dad tells him to share that with Otto, knowing that it'll be the final straw to get him fired. And then he would be the new hand. That's not in the book. I'm just guessing. Okay, back to the show. Alrighty, everybody, we're back for what we're into segment. This is the final segment, the third act. We're finally going to talk about what we're into. Miguel,
what are you into?
What are you into?
I've been so busy. I feel like I've said this so much lately. There's so many video games I want to play. I did just download, so you guys know, you guys have been keeping up at home. I have a PlayStation Plus subscription now. What up? I just got a notification, I think it was yesterday, maybe, or this morning, that Deathloop, the Bethesda game.
Bethesda.
You know what I mean?
Bethesda, yeah.
It just, it was for a year, it was on a PlayStation Plus, PlayStation exclusive only.
Yeah.
Even though it's an Xbox company, just this week, it reverted back to now open play. Everyone can play it. So of course, PlayStation was like, here, have it for free on the PlayStation subscription. So I downloaded it. I haven't played it yet, but I am looking forward to it.
I played Deathloop.
Was it good?
All right, let me tell you something. All right, I'm gonna be.
Just tell me. So go ahead and spoil it, because you know what I mean. I don't give a fuck. Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you something. As a person who doesn't play video games at all, as a basic video gamer, I did not like this game.
Ooh,
but you
didn't play BioShock either, right?
No, and it got.
Okay,
this is. I feel like this is a game. You know, like you have cinephiles who are like, you just don't get it. Like you have to be a movie lover to get it. I feel like I am not a video game person, and you know what? I didn't get it, and you know what? This isn't for me. And I feel like people who are hardcore gamers will love this game, but for me personally, I didn't vibe with it, you know? And so I remember asking people, I'm like, have you played Deathloop? Have you played Deathloop? Have you played Deathloop? Because like, I've seen reviews that were got like a 10 and a 9s and people love it, but it just didn't click with me. And maybe it's just because honestly, I am not a hardcore gamer, so I don't know the meta of a gaming thing. I don't understand what it's trying to do.
What did you not like?
I just thought it was kind of boring. Like I felt like there was all this investigative work. There was all of these, I don't know, mechanics to it that just didn't cling with me. And you know what? Maybe because I want instant gratification. Maybe because I just want a clear narrative story. Maybe because I don't want to work so hard, you know? And maybe the people who love gaming want to do that. They want to go in deep into the world. They want to investigate. They want to take things and, you know, build out their gun perfectly. Like I'm a simpleton. You know, I'm a simp here. Like, I just want to play games right away.
No.
Okay. I don't think I'm using that term correctly. Okay.
No.
But
no. You know, if we're learning about what mid means, maybe off camera I'll explain what simp
but
is.
I get it. Because I'm the same way,
bet.
Luis. I would do. Thank you, Miguel. Here's an ape with his thoughts.
Fucking damn it.
My gameplay was very similar. If I went into like big stories, It's very rarely it was like with games like Batman and stuff like that, but usually just kind of like quick FIFA games, like Call of Duty, in and out kind of stuff.
I learned early on with Ed that even games that are some of my absolute favorites, and I invested so much time in because the story is so good. And Ed, who watches like we say this all the time, long ass movies, you know what I mean? But because the story is very compelling and it really draws you in. Ed is not that way on video games. Like even we played a lot of Grand Theft Auto 4 when we were younger.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And 10 years ago, oh my God, we're coming up on 10 years. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, Ed.
Yeah.
And I could never get Ed to play that game for the story because, he's just not you don't.
No, I just wanted to.
I'm not going to sit down and play.
No, I just wanted to get 5 stars against me.
That's right.
Have a shootout on the bridge. Let's go.
Yeah, this is like, I feel like, it feels like Elden Ring to me, as somebody who doesn't know anything about games. At Punch Drunk Nerd, hit us up. To me, who doesn't know anything about games, like trying to get into games, Deathloop and Elden Ring are like the David Lynch of like video games. Like I understand you have to have like a love of the genre to really get into it.
To me, the best games, like, and I'm talking about like us 30 plus gamers. Okay, to me, the best games are like when the story is compelling, but the like the playing technique can be a lot of fun. Like I just recently was playing Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah. Okay, the story is compelling, but also like it's like the style of gameplay is a little different for me. Yeah. And I'm having such a fun time playing.
Right, because you have point of reference. You've played games in the past, so you're like, ooh, this is a little bit different. You know what I mean? You can use that as a point of reference for people who don't have a point of reference. It's like,
well, it's like I can't.
Yeah. So
you know what I mean?
I'm really interested. Like, please play Deathloop, and I'm really interested to get your interpretation of it. Yeah, report back. Let us know. Let us know what's up.
Can I just listen? It's been like 5 weeks in a row. Let me go ahead and just real quick wrap up with this. I'm still watching Mad Men.
Yes, I want to hear about Mad Men till the end of Christmas. You know what I mean,
dude? And I mean, I might be done by then. I hope. Yeah. So we are just absolutely eating up these shows. And it's just like every night we try to watch, the only bad thing about recording with you guys is that, I can't watch Mad Men.
Oh my
tonight,
God.
You know what I mean? Listen, I think I previously mentioned, I'm seeing a little bit of a decline. It's picked back up slightly. Like I'm starting to see the shift because they've shifted eras. You guys watched the show, I assume, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember our answer. I'm going to ask you guys again next week as well when I fucking forget.
I think you've finally gone beyond what I've seen. So this is like, when they become characters themselves is what you've said. So.
Yeah, in that caricature, like that can become a problem, and especially when shows go on a little too long. But right now, like I'm still finding the groove. The thing I love most about this season is the fact that previous season Don and Betty got a divorce, and this season Don has married his secretary.
Right.
Joan has a really good line. Christina Hendricks has a really good line about after Don and Megan announced that they're engaged. Her and Peggy sit down together and they're kind of bitching at each other like, oh my God, I can't believe that fucking blah, 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 blah. And Joan says something like, he's smiling like he's the first man to ever marry his secretary. And you're like, dang, that's exactly what people would say. It's how I kind of feel in this moment. But surprisingly, the character of Megan, who's now his wife, is so compelling in the way that she challenges Don Draper without necessarily going to extremes. She so casually challenges him.
I love that.
And he kind of learns to accept that and grow from that. He even has a line where like Pete Campbell cheats, like, does the whole Mad Men vibe where he like has an affair and it's so casual because that's like what they do. But then all of a sudden Don Draper, who's like fucking literally every person in New York City, is like, how could you cheat on your wife? And you're like, whoa, fucking Don Draper. So even though a part of me kind of sees a little bit of the downward slope, just a little bit, there are these redeeming moments where you're like, okay, we're going somewhere cool with it. And I won't blather on
Can
about it.
Can I just say, I loved Megan as a character.
She's so good.
Where are you at in that relationship? Like, what was the last thing that happened?
They
just got married?
No. They've been married for a minute. So the last thing that I remember is I mean, so many really good moments. The last thing I remember is he took her on like that little mini vacation, and they went out to the hotel or whatever, and then they got into that argument, and he leaves her in the parking lot, and when he comes back, she's like run off with a couple other guys. And I've paused in the middle of that episode, so I haven't wrapped that up yet.
Okay.
But that's kind of like where we're at.
I agree. She kind of, because obviously she's like much younger, much more hip and stuff. So she kind of makes them feel like at least to the audience, like an old man at this point.
Yeah.
He's like starting to be less cool because this new generation is coming in.
Which, of course, entices him to be more cool.
Exactly,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Let me be more accepting. You know what I mean?
But trust me when I say Vidon sticks and will always
Oh, don't. I assume. You don't have to tell me what's going to happen because I'm already making assumptions. But it's a really great show. The only last thing I want to talk about very quickly is the character of Lane Price, who's played by Ed, the guy from Chernobyl. Jared Harris.
Sorry.
It is so good. I love Jared Harris. I love the fact that I was thinking about it. When you think about like Mad Men overall, if you've never seen Mad Men and you're just thinking about the top 5 characters you've seen in a trailer or something, you're not ever going to realize that Jared Harris is in the show, number 1, and number 2, that he has such a meaningful arc. Now listen, Ed, I see you shaking your head. I have seen what happened, well, like in a positive, like talking about Jared Harris. Kristen watched this show long before I ever did, so I do know what happens to Lane Price. But just the fact that he's such an impactful character, but he's kind of also in the background in a sense, you know what I mean? But he's playing it so well. One of my favorite moments was him and Pete Campbell fighting in the office. Just such a great moment.
No.
And I can't wait to see how they wrap up his storyline. But
he's definitely one of the highlights of the overall show for sure.
Tremendous actor. He's so good. Yeah. Every scene, you know, even if you relate to the characters that don't like him, you still see him nailing these moments. And guys, follow along at Punch Drunk Nerd every week. Next week, I will be talking about Mad Men again.
This is the Mad Men podcast right here.
This is the Mad Men hour.
And do you know what? You want to know? Spoiler alert! In a couple years, when I start watching Mad Men, this will again be the Mad Men spoiler, this podcast, because I will want to be talking about the same thing. Do you remember that guy? Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Dude, no, get ready. Okay, well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
One final quick thing. I just thought about this really cool piece of trivia for. No,
Miguel, and we lost Miguel Sanchez. Now it's just me and Ed.
I wish that's how we all exited the show tonight. You know what I mean? Just be like, good.
It'd be a new horror movie premise, just like people just dying whilst they're recording a podcast. That's probably already happened on film.
Well, they made that one movie. Honestly, that one movie with the guy who did White Castle.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yes.
John Cho?
Yeah.
John Cho. Yeah, John Cho did that one movie where it's like, I gotta find my daughter, and he's like he's like zooming everybody to find out the answers of his missing daughter through the internet.
It's a movie for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. God.
Anyway,
Ed, what have you been into lately?
You know, we keep talking about Mad Men, and there's one show I wish everybody was watching is fucking Rings of Power. Because I can't talk to anybody about it. You're caught up?
I'm caught up, yes.
But Miguel, you have not.
I'm not, but you know, go ahead.
But you're going to, right?
Go ahead.
That was the agreement, right?
Wait. Is that the agreement? Is that the summer movie wager agreement? You want us to watch House of?
I want you to watch Rings of Power.
House of Rings.
House of Rings.
Dragon.
All right, Miguel. I mean, listen. He's asking us to watch it. You got to watch it. You got.
Sorry, I was a little drunk at the end of the last episode. Is that the answer? Was Rings of Power?
That's what I said, because you both said that Babylon was too easy. But yes, I do, because I just want to share. And
I feel you. I tell you what, Ed.
Because let me tell you,
my promise to you is this: that by next episode, when you want to talk about Rings of Power, I will be caught up, and I
don't even want you to be caught up. I mean, obviously, I want you to catch up, but I want you I just want you to dive into the world.
He's in. He's in the pool. Aren't you in the pool already?
I straight up told you. Yeah, I'm like halfway through the first episode. So
The first, I thought you were in like a couple.
We're watching so much Mad Men.
No, that's
right
fine.
now.
I get it. And
It's okay. I'm watching
You guys,
Real
I'm watching
Housewives.
Mad Men. I'm watching Mad Men with ads, and I'm going to say this again.
Miguel,
the way
I
Don
don't like
Draper
that.
would
I don't
intend.
like that. I don't like that
I don't
for
like
you.
it
What are you
either.
watching it on? Are you watching it on?
Freebie. It's the Amazon.
No,
bad
free
for you.
I don't
service.
like that for
Listen,
you.
no, it's not. Listen, shut up, everyone. It's a phenomenal way to watch Mad Men because one, it's a show about ads. Number one,
Okay.
and number two, it's like an algorithm. All right, and it's timed so poorly because it's like they tried it. Like, think about it like a regular TV show back in the day when you're watching a commercial. There's like a commercial break, like right there's
Yes.
like a dramatic moment or a cut to black or something, and then the commercial happens. On this algorithm for Freevee, they in the middle of fucking lines, they'll just start. They'll throw an ad
I don't
up,
like that.
and then they cut back to it, and it's really like the second half of the line, and then they cut to the next scene. So it's like they just miss the line of where to add the ad,
Miguel, that hurt.
and that is frustrating. I understand.
Look, I'm saying this right now. Ed needs to watch Breaking or Better Call Saul. You need to watch this thing. Like, can we
Hey,
just
on
as
the
a
last season,
can
you're
we
right,
just
okay.
collectively
If there
get
was a
an
way
AMC Plus? Oh,
that I could watch without ads.
Luis.
your
sounds like you
wish is my command. All
I'm
right,
just saying, loving the show, loving the vibe.
I do love Pirates of the Caribbean, the movie. Okay, well, we'll take care of that.
And I'm sorry, I stepped on a lot of your stuff coming back to Mad Men.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Now let's talk about Mad Men for a bit.
Shut the fuck up.
No, okay. So Rings of Power, still enthralled with it, but I'm gonna save my big discussion for when we catch
I
up.
promise.
That's
I
fine.
promise.
Ed,
next
that's
week.
what soon your birthday. I mean, I could do it next week, but I know your birthday's coming up. It could be a Rings of
October
Power
5th.
episode, but that's like
Yeah.
not that's
All right.
that's like 2 weeks away. I feel like that's too far. We could do a Rings of Power episode next week or something. You know,
Yeah.
A little
Well,
something.
I wouldn't mind doing definitely like a middle ground one. And
Yeah,
then
Sure.
like
And then-
a finale.
Yeah.
If we can sync up.
I
for that,
love it.
I won't complain. Okay, so the big things that I did get into, obviously, we talked about it earlier. I went to go see The Woman King on Sunday and then see how they run on Tuesday. And they were
Thoughts?
movies that I saw. The
How was Viola Davis?
Viola Davis is as just like such a presence as always. She's fierce. Let me tell you though, the whole cast was really good. I think what lets that movie down, if anything, is just how it's very much like an epic, like a Hollywood epic. It's very streamlined. You can tell there's like a lot that they could have dove into as far as the history surrounding this tribe, which I don't have the name of in front of me, and I won't even try and dishonor it by trying to say it. But they, it's a very by the books historical epic.
Unfortunate.
Interesting.
But what it is unfortunate, and some of the action is almost overly stylish. However, the cast is really good, really compelling, and you kind of get caught up with it to an extent where, like, the emotional punches hit home when they come, even if you do see them coming. They, like I said, there's so much history surrounding this particular group of people and the overall tribe and kingdom that they're portraying that they, like I said, they streamlined it to where slavery is like going on in the background, but they of course had to have a single antagonist right in the middle to play up against that Viola Davis's character has to face
Going
ultimately
head to head.
Yeah, and which is it kind of lets the story down a little bit to a point where, like, by the end of it just felt a little too long, and that's coming from me. If they had dove into more like gritty history and like leaned towards how they, how this tribe contributed to slavery as well as fought against it,
Okay.
or the intertribal warfare, one or the other. But I think the fact that they were trying to touch on everything and then also throw in such an unnecessary romantic plot line to boot, which
that's unfortunate. That feels very 90s, 2000s.
Let me tell you, when the guy,
right?
yeah. Like, it's basically just like, if you took Braveheart or any one of those kind of like historical epics and just put it to this setting, that's what you get with The Woman King. It's a really good, strong cast. The action is solid enough, like it's entertaining. I know there's like a lot of controversy about its historical inaccuracies, but that kind of just comes with the territory, I feel like.
It's like Hollywood retellings, you mean?
Yeah, precisely. It's like streamlined. There's rarely enough time to get into all the details. But everybody is really good. Lashana Lynch was for me, the show stealer. Like, I really liked her character. And there was one thing else I was going to say. Oh, so one thing that I felt kind of contradicts the ongoing controversy about it. One thing I like Viola Davis said is just like, you're never going to win a fight on Twitter. You know what I mean? Which is accurate. You're never going to please everybody. But let me tell you, the theater was basically full, and there were so many moments where the audience were cheering and reacting to certain characters' deaths or actions or whatever.
Man.
And it was very overall, and it's a PG-13 movie, I'll say that, when I think another thing that kind of hurt it was that kind of
softness or whatever.
Yeah, it takes away from it. And you're dealing with, like I said, tribal warfare and also slavery. I think it would have been much more poignant and powerful if they had leaned into that, because it's not an easy topic to tiptoe around, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I think that lets it down a little bit too. But to that extent, like, I found myself getting caught up with the reactions of everybody else in the room. They were fist pumping moments, like, you punch the air because, like, yeah, they fucking did it. And they build up to those moments too. It's a well-made film. It looks good. The cast is really good. It's just the story that they chose to follow lets it down a little bit. So it's an entertaining film, and go see it. Try not to nitpick at all the history stuff, because you're never going to be satisfied. But as a piece of entertainment, it does a really good job, and I think it should be celebrated just as that, because it's unique in itself, just for existing. So I don't know. Take from that what you will, but the other movies, See How They Run.
I'm curious about
this one. Is like a real kind of like, with a wink and a nod, it knows exactly what it is.
Okay.
That being like a whodunit, but it's like a whodunit within a whodunit, because it's set around a play written by Agatha Christie. So it's a murder mystery. They're showing this play on the West End in London, and during the production, this Hollywood producer, or director rather, who's planning on making an adaptation of this play, ends up being murdered, and that's played by Adrian Brody. And that's not like a spoiler. That's the whole premise of the film.
That's the plot.
And Saoirse Ronan and Sam Rockwell play the detectives. She's a constable, and he's a detective. And he does a solid English accent, if that's what you're thinking, Miguel. I can't tell, but so anyway, this movie is very, very self-aware. It is aware of all the tropes of the genre. Like, they literally tell you in a voiceover narrative, just like everything you come to expect in a whodunit kind of thing. But energy and quirkiness of it all made it a really fun.
Oh, that's good. That's what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Saoirse Ronan is really kind of just charming as this like super eager constable who, even if somebody who's like sarcastically like, I'm the murderer, or like, I wanted to kill that fucking dude. It's like, oh, well, you did it. That's good as a confession. She's so earnest, and Sam Rockwell is kind of like the over the hill alcoholic detective who kind of, they balance each other out, and their chemistry is really good throughout. And it's really short. It's like an hour and 30 minutes. Before I knew it, it was like already wrapping up. It's got really good cast. David Oyelowo, Adrian Brody, like I already mentioned, the two leads, and then some other people pop up that you probably recognize from other films. But overall, like if you've seen the trailer, you know exactly what this movie is. There are very few surprises, but it does a good job of keeping you guessing who the murderer is and stuff like that. And it's just got it's just like a very funny film, and just very enjoyable. Like, not necessarily the biggest like cinematic splash of the year, but like just solid all the way through.
That's awesome. That makes me want to watch it. Like, especially like you said, that's a movie that's going to go away from theater soon. So, check it out while it's in theaters while you can.
Yeah. Visually, it's quite, it kind of like, it's like a mixture of Wes Anderson and...
I was going to say, it seemed very Wes Anderson.
Yeah, it's not as like dry as Wes Anderson, but nor as like, I don't know, just like intricately framed, but it gives those same vibes, and there are some shots where you're just like, that's like a Wes Anderson film right there. But yeah, no, really, it was like an enjoyable thing. Like, that's a good one to take your mothers to, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just like, it's something there for everybody to enjoy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Especially mothers.
Bring your mothers, leave your fathers.
If you have a British mother who watches only Agatha Christie mysteries, this is the one for you. So yeah,
cool.
No, it was a good.
So me and Luis, we don't.
Yeah, overall, like if I was to revisit either one of those movies, it would be See How They Run, just because it's so playful. The Woman King is solid, but like I know the story now. There's no surprises. I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I saw it in theaters. It's definitely like impressive, but. So nothing terrible to report, but I don't think you'll see either one of them in this year's Oscar race. You know what I mean?
Oh, I thought you were making a comment on what movies I would be watching.
Oh,
I thought you were like, I don't think Miguel would see any of these movies.
I don't.
Period.
I don't think you would, but
you guys know me.
Yeah. That's basically all I've been into. Sarah told me to mention that we're rewatching Frasier as a pastime comedy.
Okay.
We do like our Frasier, and all his snobbery. So yeah. Oh, and Wolfwalkers.
You're always watching Wolfwalkers.
Yeah, I feel like I've mentioned it recently.
Yeah, you mentioned last time that Lily.
Hey, I just talked about Mad Men for like the 9th week in a row. You can talk about.
Yeah, Lily decided not to watch. What's it called? Pinocchio. I wanted to watch Wolfwalkers instead. That's what you said last week.
That's right. Somebody's listening.
Me.
Yeah, literally, so one audience member. Yeah. So yeah, Wolfwalkers. And that's it. I've been listening to the crap out of Rings of Power soundtrack, and I'm on the 3rd and final book of the Alexander.
Nice. Well, there you go. Listen, maybe you were listening to Steven talk about House of Dragons. You're going to start reading a 1,000-page book. So good luck to you with that. Let's see, what have I been into? I've been reading. So I talked about Batman: The White Knight comic by Sean Murphy. This was episodes ago. I watched the following sequel, Batman Curse of the White Knight, on the comic, and man, let me tell you, it is fucking awesome. Batman has been doing a lot of cool shit. There's a new writer who's leading the actual Batman comic. I have 2 of them. I think maybe there's a 3rd one coming, but it's brand new. So if you're into Batman, pick up the new Batmans. But this one, the Batman, the White Knight, and Batman Curse of the White Knight, it is very cool. I love how they bring together, past properties. They bring references to The Dark Knight. They bring references of Tim Burton's Batman. They bring references to the old Batman, and they kind of like make it all organically fit into this universe. You're like, how do all these Batmans fit together? And he does a really good job of not only writing it, but drawing it. And Batman Curse of the White Knight also brings up new things to the lore. We talk about how, like, we revisit things of the lore all the time. We retell stories all the time. But Batman of the Curse of the White Knight brings up new things that would shock you, that would change you, and you feel like, wait, can we do that in a Batman series? And they do it. So the guy's name is Sean Murphy. He kind of has like a Sean Murphy verse. There's Batman the White Knight, Batman Curse of the White Knight, which I finished, and then Batman Beyond the White Knight, which actually incorporates Batman Beyond, the character from the Batman Beyond TV show. So it does a really good job of like the gamut from Tim Burton's Batman to now. So if you're looking for a Batman, and it's really short too, the Batman the White Knight is 8 or 9 comics. Batman Curse the White Knight, 8 or 9 comics, and then Batman Beyond the White Knight is ongoing right now.
Damn.
But check it out, man, dude. I literally, I wasn't even gonna bring this up till last night. I read 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think like 5 comics in a row. I just was like,
so it's short.
It's short. I was pulled into it. I was like, oh my god, I want to keep reading it. It feels like, I want to see a movie version of this. I know I feel like it lands the part of like The Long Halloween. Sean Murphy, this White Knight thing. It's very good. What's up? You hear my cat?
I see your cat back there, dude. Bring him on.
What's up, cat? What's up, Socks? Are you okay? He's crying. He wants some. He needs his second meal. And then finally, to wrap this up, I didn't even have this on the list, but I've been watching Killing Eve. This is a show written by oh my god, I love her now. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. You know her from her TV show on Prime Video, Fleabag, and she also wrote the 007 movies near the end, and she also was a droid in Star Wars. But
she's an ND5. I'm so sorry.
With Indy 5. Oh, yeah, Indy 5. Yeah, she's in Indy 5. She's going to be Indiana Jones 5. And so if you've seen Fleabag, you see how like kind of this side commentary, this quirkiness to her. I rewatched, I've seen Killing Eve season 1. I'm rewatching it because her season's done. And watching episode 1 to now, episode 2, you can really feel Phoebe Waller-Bridge. You can really feel her comedy. You can feel her side commentary. But it's done in a very dramatic, serious tone, which is very cool. So I like Killing Eve. This is a situation where I have like, what can I watch without my partner? And what can I watch with my partner? Because I want to watch Better Call Saul, but also like, are we watching that together? I don't know. I still haven't figured that answer yet. I really want to keep watching Better Call Saul, Ed. I know you're like caught up, except for the last season. Is she here? She is here. Are we watching Better Call Saul together? Totes.
I thought she said no.
Yeah,
are you sure? We're all right, well, we're figuring that out. So as I'm figuring that out, I'm watching Killing Eve. It's a very good show. I would recommend it. Also on AMC. Maybe we all need to create an AMC Plus account so we can all watch Mad Men and Better Call Saul and Killing Eve. I'm whispering.
Oh.
Yeah, we can all share an account, right? Don't let our wives know, right? Sarah? Oh, she can't hear me. She doesn't even listen to the podcast, or she doesn't even know. Doesn't know what we're talking about.
I'll talk so much shit about my wife right now because she's not listening. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay.
It's fine.
But Sarah's great, right, Ed? Your
Can't talk
wife,
shit
Sarah?
about Sarah Meyer, though.
Sarah Meyer is the shit.
She, every time she comes to me with another comment about what she just heard, I'm just like, oh yeah, I forgot I said that.
We should have Sarah on for an episode,
we should.
I think
so too.
Hey, whenever you get to the end of Mad Men, maybe she'll come in and talk about it.
Don't hype me up, dude.
She loves. She's the one who got me to watch Mad Men.
Really?
That's
wow.
Right
okay,
there.
that's the deal. That's the deal, Miguel. You speak through that.
Yeah, she had the DVD collection of the first 2 seasons, I think. But yeah. So
okay.
All right,
she doesn't retain things very well, though.
It's okay,
so.
Miguel.
Doesn't matter.
She retains the feeling. You know what I mean? Listen, folks, we are about to hit a Batman running time here. So we're going to move on. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for sticking in. Thank you, Steven, for coming in as our first guest appearance. We'll see you again for our finale of The House of the Dragon. But until next time, it's been me, Luis Gonzalez. And of course, I've had the pleasure of talking to
Miguel Sanchez.
And Deadpool.
And until next time, later, Gators.
Later, Gators.